Welcome into the Thursday edition of Three Man Front. Pat Lindrum, Molly Conrad with you. SEC baseball continues at the Hoover Metropolitan Stadium. The Auburn Tigers, they'll be taking the field about 58 minutes from now. You can hear that game over on AM 690. Jocks 3.
The Tres. Jocks Tres.
Dadgummit.
What's wrong?
I'm just trying to get things situated.
Mess up that. Get it, Pat. Don't let that microphone beat you. It felt like it. Did it not feel like an October morning this morning? It was nice and cool. Conrad, I'm sure you felt it when you walked out of your house at 3 a.m.
Yeah, it felt very nice this morning.
Yeah, it did. Made me feel like football, but it's baseball.
We are 99 days away from Auburn and Baylor, 100 days away from Florida State taking on Alabama down in Tallahassee.
And 93 days away from week 0.
Yep. So it will be here before you know it. But we will spend a great deal of time talking about baseball this morning, including what took place yesterday at the Hoover Met. Alabama gets shellacked by Tennessee. They have been eliminated, so the thoughts of them hosting a region now up in the air. Meanwhile, the Rebels of Ole Miss last night, late, they beat Florida 3-1. They advanced.
That's a really good win. Ole Miss,
Hotty toddy.
They scored a lot of runs, and maybe they're playing their best ball at the right time.
But any question, Ole Miss was worried about their fact that the resume needed a little bit of a boost in case they wanted to host.
Yeah.
They threw their number one pitcher last night. They put all of their chips in the center of the table. They said, you know what? Alabama is nipping our heels about potentially hosting. You know, Rob Vaughn was saying yesterday after Alabama's loss that they should host, and a lot of question marks on who's going to be able to host out of that group of Ole Miss and Alabama, but Ole Miss helped themselves last night.
Well, and taking 2 out of 3 from Auburn, a hot Auburn team last weekend in Oxford, that certainly helped. But Florida, arguably one of the hottest teams, one of the hotter teams in the SEC in the close of the season, the regular season anyways. That was a very, very nice win. And Hunter Elliott, he pitched a whale of a game.
Yeah, their number one pitcher. It did not quite go as deep as Ole Miss wanted him to, but
yeah,
he kept the game close, and Ole Miss was able to get the win. But I go back to Alabama's loss yesterday, 15-10 to Tennessee. The Tide now 41-16 on the year. They led in the middle of the 5th inning. They had taken the lead, and you could tell that Alabama was gaining that momentum, but then the bullpen just could not stop Tennessee the rest of the way. 20 hits. 20 by Tennessee yesterday.
You have 30 hits combined.
Yeah.
Was that it? And 25 runs. It was funny. We were playing golf, and we went and did a score check real quick, and Conrad's like, oh, never mind. Tennessee just scored a bunch of runs.
Yeah, for a brief moment, it looked like it was going to be competitive, and then
we were planning outfits for today for Conrad when we go out to the Met and for him to support the Tide, and yeah, it didn't work out.
Unfortunately not. I'll have to go to Clemson, I guess.
Well, Rob Vaughn said after the game, and it is a no-brainer that Crimson Tide, they have done enough, and they should host a regional. He pointed out that it should be a no-brainer because the Tide won 17 games in the league, an RPI in the top 12, went out and won every single midweek game all year and only lost 1 out-of-conference game. Quoting now, I think it's kind of silly that we're even talking about it. Are we hosting or are we not?
No, I agree with him. 17 games, winning 17 games, even just going 500 in a 30-game regular season SEC schedule this year. If you went 15-15, I think that merits certainly
Can I throw a
hosting
damp blanket?
A regional at least.
Can I throw a damp blanket on what you just said?
Mm-hmm.
Do you realize that 7 of their 17 wins came against the likes of Missouri and Texas A&M?
Yeah, well.
And that would be the knock on Alabama is you have that series win over Georgia, and that's it in SEC play in terms of very impressive series wins. I think so. You know, you did lose. You lost to Tennessee. You lost to Texas A&M. Or no, they beat Texas A&M.
Lost to Auburn.
Lost to Auburn. Lost to Florida. So the other teams where
Lost to Vanderbilt.
The overall record and resume is very good, but I think when the committee is looking at head-to-head, they're going to go, well, all these teams beat Alabama when they played, so why can we?
Yeah, before the SEC tournament started, D1 baseball had Alabama going to Clemson. And Molly, you've got something pulled up now from Baseball America.
Yeah, Conrad, pack your bags because it looks like you're going to Fort Worth, Texas.
Coach Vaughn, I tried.
Better than Norman, Oklahoma. Let's go.
I tried. I followed the script. I tried.
So the 16 host sites will be announced on Sunday. The regionals and full slate of 64 teams will be announced on Monday at 11 a.m. on Memorial Day. So we'll see what happens over the weekend as the SEC tournament continues on. We mentioned the fact that the Auburn Tigers, they will take the field at 11 o'clock this morning against the aforementioned Texas A&M Aggies, who won yesterday. They blanked Mississippi State 9-0. Then the next game, the two UTs, the two orange schools in the Southeastern Conference. One burnt orange. The other is the I pick up trash on the side of the road orange. Those two teams will do battle this afternoon at 3 o'clock as the Longhorns and the Vols. That should be a very highly entertaining game and watching the fans of both sides.
I can't wait. The people watch will be great.
Then tonight it will be Oklahoma and Vandy as Vandy will take the field for the first time there in Hoover. Could not ask for better weather. This afternoon, I think the first pitch at 3 o'clock between Tennessee and Texas. I think the high today is going to be 84 degrees.
Thank you, Lord. We went out there last year. It was a little bit of
we went out there last year for the Texas A&M Arkansas game.
It was a heater.
It was well warm.
It was
it was quite warm.
It was very well warm.
But that was a great people watch. Remember the girl who?
Oh, how could I forget the girl?
Oh my God! Well, the one that was sitting with her family. That was, I think she ended up eating suntan lotion.
I do remember that.
That was gross.
That was fun.
She was hungry.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good time.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of baseball talk today. Joining us later in the program, we will talk to Rodney Orr from Tiger Insider. Skip Holtz, the head football coach of the Birmingham Stallions, will join us at 11:45. Rob Pate will join us at 12 noon. But a little bit of college football news that we are anticipating this morning. Multiple outlets are reporting that college football playoff executives are meeting this morning on a conference call, and they are expected to give a rubber stamp to the 2025 playoff model, which would feature straight seeding. So we're anticipating sometime this morning that would come to fruition, which is great news.
Finally, positive news.
Yeah.
So maybe we're getting a little bit of news. And is there any doubt at all that Claudia Wilkin will have a decision tomorrow afternoon about 3 o'clock on a Memorial Day weekend? A news dump. Don't
Sounds
you
about
think if
right.
she's going to have a decision, it's going to come out then?
Yeah, it sets up perfectly.
Unless she wants to hold it until Paul comes back.
And then Paul will be in Destin. Now, see, that would be
Oh, there
that
you
would be
go,
really
yeah.
cool because on Tuesday, the Feinbaum Show will be in Destin, and that would be just an incredible meeting place with all the coaches in attendance. They're on the beach. They're at the wonderful Sandpiper Restaurant and cigars downstairs, the steakhouse.
I wonder if Claudia's had enough.
I think she is milking it for everything she can.
That bridge club, she keeps getting those phone calls. Late in the evening. Claude, when you coming back? When you coming back? I hope they get it settled tomorrow. I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of getting asked about it.
So if they do vote this morning on this conference call, this is the way the playoff would have looked last year based on the teams that made the college football playoff. You'd have had Indiana versus Boise. That would have been an 8-9 matchup.
That'd have been fun.
Then they would have found themselves playing either Oregon. Pretty good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you have Penn State would await the winner of Notre Dame and Clemson.
That would have been much
Okay.
better than Penn State SMU.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee would have taken on SMU. So maybe Tennessee.
They would have enjoyed that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Tennessee would not have gotten embarrassed like they did in
Nico would have
Columbus.
gotten what he was asking for.
Yeah.
Maybe so.
They would have played Georgia, the winner of those two between SMU and Tennessee. And then Texas, they would be a 3 seed, and they would await the winner of Ohio State and Arizona State. So see a little bit of difference of how it would have looked last year. I think the Indiana Boise game,
That'd be entertaining.
Yeah.
I think that would have been.
That's the one that I circled, and all the ones that you mentioned.
Mhm.
I don't know that That would have been fun.
Notre Dame Clemson, I think, would have.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
like that one too.
And I think for Oregon,
Just stylistically and how they kind of match up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're Oregon being the number one team, you're like, sweet, we would have gotten maybe an easier path than having to play Ohio State in your second game, the team that ultimately won it all.
Yeah. The way the bracket would have set up, Oregon would have had to ultimately get through Penn State.
Which they had done in the Big Ten Championship.
Yeah.
And then Georgia and Texas would probably be playing each other in the national semifinals.
And Georgia would have won again.
Yeah. So
Bring on straight seeding.
hope so.
I'm here for it.
So we'll see what happens. Hopefully, in the next few hours, we'll have some news on that front, and then we can check one thing off the box in regards to all the things that we're waiting to be accomplished before the football season, including that and Claudia Wilkin, a 9-game SEC schedule. All those things are starting to stack up.
And our helmet bracket. We got to get a winner there.
Yes. Soon.
Well, we have a long summer of heat and humidity ahead, so keep your home comfortable with Train, America's most reliable HVAC brand. And to give you more peace of mind, Train is offering up to 10-year warranties on parts and labor on select home comfort systems. So to learn more about this offer and to find a specialist near you, visit train.com.
When we come back, we'll discuss that helmet bracket. We're on to the third bracket. Or is this the fourth final bracket?
This is fourth.
Oh, this is the fourth one. This is the Coach O bracket.
That's exactly right.
The Coach O bracket. We have a winner from yesterday's bracket. We'll tell you who's left in the three-man front SEC football helmet bracket. That's next, three-man front. The Auburn Tigers will be on the field there at the Hoover Metropolitan Stadium. They were originally supposed to play last night. Because of the weather situation, their game got moved to this morning. So the Tigers will be in attendance there at the wonderful Hoover Metropolitan Stadium. Just a great crowd last night, especially for that late night game that ended well after midnight between Ole Miss and Florida. So once again, Hoover has certainly outdone itself in regards to presenting itself as one of the best venues for college baseball.
Yeah, we love the nice weather when it's nice outside and the warmer weather comes in. But unfortunately, what that means for you, your home, your place of business, that means that there could be bugs and the kind that are very pesky. A lot of bugs, they serve great purposes, but being in your home, that is not one of their intended purposes. You need to call our friends at Stark Exterminators, a family-owned company for over 61 years, and it's a company that the Roberts family trusts and so many Jocks listeners already trust. Stark will send a talented professional to your home, come in and perform a complete inspection thoroughly inside and out, and then they'll address any current issues that you had, like we had 3 years ago with ants in the bathroom. I tell you about that all the time, but also potential problems that could arise. These folks are experts, they're professionals, and they care about what they do. Your customer satisfaction is absolutely guaranteed, and don't forget about the termite protection as well. It's Stark Exterminators. Give them a call today for your free home or business pest inspection, 855-STARK now. Go to starkexterminators.com. And as always, tell them Landrum from Three Man Front sent you.
All right, so earlier this week, we launched the helmet bracket. So each day we have 4 different regions, so to speak, or 4 different brackets, and they all have a theme. So Molly, kind of recap what we launched earlier this week and the winners of each bracket.
Yeah, so the first bracket that we had was the Bear Bryant bracket, and that was Alabama versus Arkansas and then Kentucky versus Texas A&M. The winners of that bracket were Alabama and Kentucky, the white Kentucky helmet, so they will go head-to-head. Then we had Pat's favorite bracket, the Phil Fulmer bracket, where you had Tennessee and Vanderbilt, both the white helmets, and then you had the Florida helmet and then the Oklahoma helmet. Now, Vanderbilt actually beat Tennessee.
Upset
Tennessee. And Florida beat Oklahoma in a landslide. But we have the results from yesterday's, which was the Pat Dye bracket, where you had the black South Carolina helmet against the Georgia helmet, and the white Auburn up against the Mississippi State cursive maroon helmet. And Auburn won that side, and the black South Carolina helmet beat Georgia.
Another upset, Conrad. The black matte South Carolina helmet beat the iconic Georgia G helmet.
So you're telling me that sometimes maybe a black helmet would be better than a historically relevant or nostalgic helmet?
Well, you just won't let that die, will you?
The people are you listening to the people, Pat? The people want the black helmet.
It didn't work for, was it Mark Richt that they broke out the black helmet?
Yeah, ask Julio Jones how that worked that night.
Exactly. It's Georgia.
They did it against Florida and Jacksonville too, didn't they?
Sounds right.
Yeah. We would do it right.
Oh, I have faith. I'm putting you on the uniform committee.
Thank you.
All right, so we have the Coach O bracket. That is the final of the 4 brackets before we get down to the Elite 8, right? Is that right?
That's right, yeah.
Okay. So who's in the bracket?
So we have Ole Miss and Mizzou going head-to-head. And on the other side, we have LSU and Texas. And right now in the early voting, so first couple of votes coming in, Ole Miss is beating Mizzou with almost 67%. And then Texas is beating LSU with almost 63%. For
my personal taste, I think that this is the toughest bracket.
I agree.
I think so too.
I agree 100%.
Wait, you said Texas is beating LSU by how much?
By 63%.
Dang.
That's pretty, wow.
I love the LSU. I
love it.
I think it's one of the best in the entire country.
It's in my collection. The Texas helmet is too. I'm still waiting on the company that I order from. It's been 2 years now for the Ole Miss powder.
Would you like
blue.
to borrow my powdered blue for a while?
No, something will happen to it. You'll never forgive me.
So it's the powder blue Ole Miss versus the white Sailor Tiger helmet.
That's a good one.
That's really good.
For Missouri. And then, of course, the iconic gold, yellow, whatever you want to say.
That's yellow.
I'd say yellow, but.
Yeah. That's a French's mustard yellow.
Mm-hmm. And of course, the white Texas helmet.
Yeah. What shade of white would you call that? Snow?
Eggshell.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, it's interesting because in that Texas helmet is identical to Auburn's shade of white, because it has the speckled
Yeah.
paint inside.
Blanco 247.
It's not just a white, like Kentucky's would just be a white helmet. But Texas is like
Speckled white.
Auburn's. Yep.
It's fancy.
So go vote at the 3-man
Mizzou's is
sprint.
kind of like a faded white.
I think it's probably the lighting.
It's just the lighting in the picture.
Yeah. Cartoon Tiger looks great. Hey, buddy.
They can't afford this speckle, Landrum.
Well,
It's very
You
sensitive.
got to pay Drink
topic
all
for
that
them.
money.
Well, heck, I mean, Mizzou's got like 7 helmets now.
They do have a lot.
Back in the old days, it was just the Block M, and that was it.
So the kids
Luther had
want,
to
Pat.
re-up his deal before he left.
That's
We have a change in voting. So Ole Miss is now up to 87%.
Whoa!
And
Man,
LSU is now winning with 60%.
Magnolia State precincts coming in.
I was about to say Pat sent it to his family group chat, and here we are.
yeah, better believe it. Well, they're still asleep after last night's big win.
Oh, okay.
A lot of celebrating last night. I'm getting to host the region now.
Are you gonna head over to Oxford for that?
No.
Okay.
No.
No, I'll be very quick with that answer.
Very silly of you to ask. He's already been to Mississippi once this month.
Yeah,
That's
that's a good
exactly what
point.
I was saying. Last Tuesday at this time, I made my way to the Magnolia State and paid homage to my home site and was back at home before midnight.
I don't blame you. I don't think that makes you less of a fan. You know what? Your fandom speaks with your check every month.
You better believe it. Now Chris Beard wants more. So every time I turn around, somebody else wants more.
Is the women's coach? Is she happy now?
Yo,
I don't talk to her.
You don't talk to her.
what? Really?
No.
Y'all on the outs?
Let's just say that there was a situation that happened in the parking lot.
Okay. She parked too close to you?
She did. Kind of blocked me in.
She banged.
She didn't realize
She
she
banged the
Dinged
side
your
of the
ca- yeah,
GMC.
she dinged your car door. Now
She did not realize that I had VIP parking access.
She had your car booted. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, wasn't good. There was a little dust up yesterday afternoon, thanks to Molly's head coach at the University of Nebraska.
Yeah.
And when I saw this story as I was heading home, I was like, okay, when I get home, I'm going to digest this and see exactly what's going on, because On3 made it sound like that Matt Rule has got a suggestion for college football. And that suggestion is to let 40 teams play for the national championship. Like, put them on a bracket, 40 teams. This is the way it sounded during his podcast. This is Huskers Online, right?
Mhm.
This is what he had to say. Take a listen, because this was taken completely out of context, but On3 kept running with it.
What is best for Nebraska, in your opinion? Is it 12, 14, 16? Does it matter?
Oh, the more spots, the better, man. Make that thing 40 and let's go. I mean,
Now, unlike Coach K a couple of years ago, when Coach K was doing a podcast, and he was dead serious when he said you need to put every single college basketball team in the NCAA basketball tournament. Like he was 100%, I need that to happen. But based on what you just heard there,
No,
was
do
there
it-
any question that it was tongue in cheek?
No.
No.
That would be like somebody listening to our show or taking something that we say on a date, because we do a lot of tongue in cheek here and running with it. No, that was, and I agree with him. That's a great response.
And that's why when you see the written quote, right, and you just see, oh, Matt Rule said he wants 40 teams in the playoff, you can see where people would take it out of context. But then, yeah, you instantly hear that and you go, oh, this was a joke. And
No laughing in parentheses.
exactly.
Nope.
No,
No LOL emoji. That's the thing.
This is social media doing what social media does.
Yeah.
So what was the reaction, Molly, in Nebraska from taking his comments out of context and running with it? Even Ari Wasserman, I think he on social media,
He doubled down.
He doubled
did,
down on
yeah.
it.
I know from like Husker Faithful, from what I've seen on Twitter, a lot of Husker fans are not happy that they kind of took it out of context, because clearly he was joking. And I mean, when I first heard the clip, because you sent me the On3 graphic before I actually saw the clip.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, I mean, I thought it was funny just reading it, because, I mean, a 40-team playoff, that would be pretty ridiculous. But, you know, we like to joke around here. We like to have some fun. And I saw the clip, and I was like, he's clearly kidding. And when you look at the On3 graphic, the quote that they put with it, he talked about the 9-conference game, or the 9-conference season that the Big Ten plays. He said, you're talking about a league that plays 9 conference games, while some others play 8. So I think that puts you at an automatic disadvantage. 2 different parts of the interview, basically.
I do have a little bit of a problem with that comment because not all conferences are created equal. But
he has been, and I'm not crapping on her school and Matt Rule. I think Matt Rule's an outstanding football coach. He's a fan of this show. He listened when he was in Baylor, but he has really beat that and drug that mule through the mud many times in regards to the SEC only playing 8 games. And like you said, Landrum, these conferences are not equal. And, you know, he keeps beating that drum, and I can't wait for the SEC next week to say, okay, we're going to play 9. And by the way, let's go Big Ten. Let's play, you know, a game every year for every team.
Yeah.
And let's see how it ends up. Because I'm sorry, but there's no way when you get outside that upper tier of the Big Ten that they could hold a candle to what we have.
No, you're absolutely right.
No, and there'll be that guy that points to, well, look at the bowl game, South Carolina and Illinois. Look at the bowl game, Michigan and Alabama.
Bowl games have nothing to do with it anymore.
No.
0.
Thank you.
And they'll pound their chest about the fact that they've won the last 2 national championships, even though the SEC's won, like 15 of the last 20?
We'll get Alabama, Wisconsin early in the season.
Yeah, we will.
At BDS.
God, we got to root for
NSF.
Texas. Got to pull for Texas. That'd be a big one to start the season. Send Ohio State packing early.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That would, yep.
But we're really not sending them packing because Ohio State, they'll run the rest of their schedule until they lose to Michigan, but they'll still get it.
Correct. Absolutely right. They lose to Michigan and the 58th best head coach in college football.
Buckeyes look great after the early season loss to Texas, and then they will we'll cry. His beard will run down him and say that he doesn't die. Kind of tongue in cheek, but run with.
Did she defend that?
He doesn't dye his beard.
Mm-mm.
Do that.
He's at that football building.
Has Coach Self? Just curious. It's also obvious because if you have crap foundation and you've got 9717, their professionals can come out to your house. They can offer you solutions that's tailored to your home. No pressure, just honest advice. They can fix foundation. They can tackle a sinking driveway with their poly-level system. It's quick, clean. It's going to look fantastic. Plus, they can fix those cracks in your patio during this heavy, hot summer season when you got the barbecue grill outgoing. So if you're dealing with foundation issues, a wet basement, sinking concrete, do yourself a favor. Call Alabama Professional Services. The number 205-951-9717. That's 951-9717. Or go to their website, alabamaprofessional.com.
The text line is open. Rodney Orr at the top of the hour from Tider Insider, and Skip Holtz at 11:45, breaking down, previewing the Stallions, their final home game of the regular season coming up this weekend. That and much more. The Thursday edition of 3-Man Front. We're so glad you're with us here on Jocks 94.5.
1034 Jocks 94.5 on this Thursday. Auburn baseball, you can hear it over on 690 as they're in action there at the Hoover Metropolitan Stadium as they get ready for their first game in the SEC baseball tournament as they take on Texas A&M. Tennessee will take on Texas. That's around a 3 o'clock first pitch. And then tonight, time to be determined, it will be Oklahoma, who's played really well. 2 wins already. Their first SEC baseball tournament. 2 wins. They'll be taking on the 4 seed.
They're making up for all their other sports.
Yeah, the Vanderbilt Commodores.
Well, not softball.
Coming up a little bit later. The Braves were washed out last night. No Braves game. Rescheduled as part of a split doubleheader on Tuesday, September the 16th. There in Washington. So what they've done is A.J. Smith-Shawver has just been pushed to today. He will pitch. 5:45 is the first pitch from the nation's capital. So you can hear that on the Jocks family of stations.
6.5 back. 500 record. And you got the Padres coming in for a weekend set tomorrow. Let's get this game versus the Nationals. Come on.
Ronald still trending towards the wheat this
As far as we
weekend?
know, Conrad.
Okay.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
That's good.
And we'll talk to Barrett Sallee tomorrow about the corresponding move that is anticipated once Acuna comes back.
Yeah. What does that outfield look like?
Mm-hmm.
Who does he sit next to in the dugout?
Molly's Tigers took 2 out of 3 from my Redbirds.
Yes.
They're in St. Louis.
Thank you, Pat.
Detroit has the best record in Major League Baseball.
Detroit has the best record in Major League Baseball going back to last season, the end of the season. That was that was the hottest team until they lost.
We've also won 12 of our last 16 series. This is the first time they've done that since 1984.
That's a good year. Beat the San Diego
Was a
Padres.
very good year.
I think the
Great
most
book.
surprising thing with the Tigers this year is their offensive production.
Yes, definitely.
Pitching was solid.
Mm-hmm.
Javi Baez came back from the dead.
He
Yeah, he
sure
did.
did.
He was one of the worst players in
Yeah.
baseball the
Yeah.
last 2 or 3 years.
There's a lot of time left in the season. I will tell you, as a wise baseball fan once told me by the name of Patrick Delano Smith,
PDS.
it is a marathon,
It is.
not a sprint. You got a lot of game left, and I don't want that little heart to get crushed again.
I know.
Nebraska has done enough.
Mhm.
Okay, Lions, they did enough.
Yeah. I've been through enough in my life.
That's right.
I will thank you, Conrad, for your Yankees with the walk-off last night.
You're welcome.
That was part of a 3-team parlay that hit big time, so thank you.
Well, I talked to Jason Dominguez before the game, and I said, hey, Pat, he's feeling really good tonight, so you might want to take the Yankees on the money line. And he hits a walk-off home run, and all is well.
Has Aaron Judge got out yet?
He is still hitting over 400, if that's what you're asking.
Did you like the stat I gave you about Brendan Donovan?
Oh, about how he has the second most hits in baseball behind Aaron Judge? Mhm.
Yep. And Brendan Donovan, for those that may not know that name, he won a Gold Glove for the Cardinals. He hit the only home run at Rickwood last year.
USA.
He went to Enterprise High School, where he married his high school sweetheart. He went to the University of South Alabama, drafted by the Cardinals. Lives right outside of Mobile in a wonderful tract of land. Yeah.
He's been a great player.
He's an Alabama kid doing well for the Cardinals. He has the second most hits in Major League Baseball this
That's
year.
awesome.
Only behind Judge.
You could say that about just about every category, but Ohtani has more home runs now, so I guess he's still pretty good.
Yeah.
When's he going to start pitching again? Let's wear him out.
We don't count him. He wasn't born stateside.
But I do want to give a shout out to Brian Edwards from Vegas Insider because he told us yesterday to take the Indiana Pacers plus 4.5, which I did.
Never in doubt.
Part of my 3-team parlay. And I was about to start texting Brian because the first 2 legs of my parlay, which was the Phillies over the Rockies and the Yankees over the Rangers, that was taken care of. And then when I tune into the NBA game and I see that the Pacers are getting pasted by the New York Knickerbockers, I'm like, oh boy.
But then you remembered it's the NBA.
That's right. And they don't play defense.
Nope.
And anything is possible.
Nope.
And they go to overtime, and I said, oh, okay, here we go.
You were giving him grief. Did he say to take it in a 3-team parlay?
No.
Okay, well, that was your decision. You
Well, that was my-
don't be
but-
bashing our Vegas insider. I
But
might
no,
need
he
intel.
comes on the show, and he tells everybody, this is what I'm going with tonight.
Yeah.
So
he
I
does.
put that in the parlay because I felt very confident with my baseball picks.
Yeah, he's really good with the NBA.
My takeaway from this is that Pat watched the NBA last night.
I know.
Which made me very
That's
happy.
how you get Pat to watch.
Well, I mean, I'm invested.
It was a great game. Honestly, one of the best NBA games in a long time.
I have 401k at stake. There's a lot going on.
Are you pumped up for Minnesota tonight and,
No.
and Oklahoma City?
No,
Ooh,
I told you
that's a
earlier,
matchup I've been.
Because there's no baseball.
I know you've been chomping
I had
at
it
the bit.
circled. I'll watch that one downstairs in the sports room. Gross.
I won't be watching tonight because I won't be invested.
Did you said T-Wolves and OKC?
Yeah.
I've actually seen those two teams play, and I saw them play at the Target Center.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, like live? Yeah.
Fell asleep in the third quarter. It was the cadence of the music.
They're significantly better now. We got Club La Vila.
No, it was, I don't know. Their DJ, he was playing something. I got up there. I just had a big stadium dog and a really large diet drink and maybe some nachos.
Surprised you weren't in the bathroom.
That came later. But yeah, that was one of my NBA experiences. It was thrilling.
Sounds magical, honestly.
It was thrilling.
By the way, how you feeling?
Arms, little shoulders.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about yours.
Oh, that. We're good right now, Pat.
You're going to be just fine.
If Cole's listening to the show, did you tell Cole you were sick this morning?
Absolutely not.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely not.
It's probably better that you didn't.
I did not.
I appreciate you being on it. Well, you
cleaned it.
actually were not forthright with me, and that really breaks my heart.
Well, I didn't lie to you. I just didn't tell you.
Because we spent a lot of time together yesterday after the show.
So
in a
when you
golf
get
cart.
sick this weekend, are you going to blame it because you rode together playing golf yesterday, or is it because he got sick this morning during the morning show during on the spot that you're currently broadcasting?
The stomach virus that Conrad had, was it incubating yesterday? Was he contagious yesterday, or was it? I don't know. You will get blamed.
I think you should just be impressed that I got sick in the middle of a radio show and then still managed to come back and finish.
You know, the not funny, but just crazy thing about this, of all the times for you to get sick, I would have thought it would have been when the stinky fish out in the parking lot. But it was actually
took
after
3 hours on a golf course with you and Ty and just messed my tummy up.
He was still
Old
feeling the
tum-tum.
repercussions of Tennessee beating
I thought it was just butterflies, you being around Ty.
Just a little bit delayed now.
You got that same feeling like when you met Paige.
That's right.
Dobbs Ford, right there on Parkway East in Birmingham. Wonderful, wonderful folks. Always started out with that because that's what they are. That's what they stand for, is just treating people right. They are relationship people. And last time I checked, people buy from people. You want to buy from Dobbs Ford right now, you're going to get Ford employee pricing on certain makes and models, 90 days until your first payment. As I always tell you, they got Alabama's largest showroom selection from the F-150s, the Explorers, Mustangs. How about a convertible Mustang just in time for summer? That'd be fun, right? Broncos. Check out the full selection there at DobbsFordBirmingham.com on Parkway East. Joey Goshen, his wife Rachel, the entire team, they do an outstanding job. DobbsFordBirmingham.com. And as always, tell them Landrum from Jocks 94.5 sent you.
1-800-239-WJOX, the courtesy GMC text line. We will get to your text messages at 205-834-9450. It is 10:46, Jocks 94.5. About 15 minutes away from Auburn taking the field against Texas A&M, their first game in the SEC baseball tournament. Are you looking for a pontoon boat this summer? Poorhouse Branch Marina at Smith Lake is the only dealer on the lake that has Avalon pontoons. Avalon pontoons are known for luxury, comfort, and performance, and pair it with the most fuel-efficient engine in the water from Honda Marine. Poorhouse Branch Marina at Smith Lake also has Tahoe pontoons ready for family fun. Get it today with the in-house financing. See it all at poorhousebranchmarina.com. The website again, poorhousebranchmarina.com. Also want to point everybody to our three-man front Twitter page, Molly, where right now we have the helmet bracket going on. This is the final of the 4 brackets, and this is the Coach O bracket.
Go Tigers. But yes, we have Ole Miss versus Mizzou on one side, and then LSU versus Texas on the other. Oh, Pat, I can tell you've contacted all of your Ole Miss people because Ole Miss is now at 92%.
Yes, that's what I'm talking
over
about.
Mizzou. And LSU is now up to 70%.
So I am curious if you can pull that up. What was the number of Alabama winning? And it's the first on the Bear Bryant bracket. I'm curious. The highest difference in the winning.
Let me go back and check.
I think Ole Miss beat Alabama.
Let's see. Alabama was up to 79.4%. That was
Against Arkansas?
Mm-hmm. That was the final tally.
I'm telling you, Ty grabbed it and put it on
I think he did.
That tells me that there's a lot of Alabama fans that don't text, don't call the show, and they keep their opinions to themselves that are open to change, Conrad.
Florida was 80.6
right.
over Oklahoma. It was even higher.
Sorry, Oklahoma fans. That's not a helmet that it doesn't pop in my eye.
No, it doesn't.
How about the cream one they have? Do you like the cream version that Oklahoma has?
It's okay.
I'm not surprised that now 92% is a lot, but I mean, I think there's probably a lot of people out there that would say that's their favorite in the SEC is that powder blue Ole Miss.
I know they're not part of the SEC, but which UAB helmet do you like the best? That they currently have.
I like the ones that we got.
The white one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too.
With the full color blazer.
Mm-hmm.
Blazer head on it.
Yeah, because now they just do the green.
Right. And I think that there's going to be some alterations this year to the helmet, according to Coach Dilfer. But and I do believe, we are going to get the gold back. So that's kind of a big deal. UAB fans getting some gold back this year.
There you go.
But I don't know why. I mean, I respect Oklahoma, their tradition. I like their jersey. I like the jersey with Sooners in the big font. That looks good. Helmet just
is it the shade of red?
It's just not that this is all. I don't know what it is, Conrad. Maybe so.
It's fair. I mean, I think it's a solid helmet. It's not my favorite, but it's fine.
So I want to take you back to the last week or two. Some interesting comments by Nick Saban when he was asked about the presidential commission. He has been less than excited. Let's just be honest. Every type of comment he's made, he's like, if they want me to be a part of it, I'll be more than happy to do it. But at the end of the day, it's just whatever. Well, Ross Dellinger is reporting that the presidential commission that has been much talked about over the course of the last few weeks is going to hit pause.
Man.
Congressional sources has told Yahoo Sports that a move possibly is rooted in the potential impact in a current Senate negotiation over college sports legislation, which includes Senator Ted Cruz and Senator Cory Booker. So maybe, just maybe, they feel like some legislation is on the horizon, and this presidential commission that Nick Saban was supposed to be a part of will not be needed. And maybe that's why you heard Nick Saban.
I thought it was just because, it's not great for a commission, I would imagine, when the guy that's supposed to be spearheading it says, I don't even know why we're doing this, and I don't know what it is. Probably not a great start. I would like to know, like a Nick Saban and Cody Campbell conversation. I think that would be very interesting to be a fly on the wall in a meeting like that between those two. Very different perspectives, I would imagine.
So for me, it kind of makes sense based on because Nick Saban is extremely calculated. Like he's just not going to walk up to a microphone and just start off the cuff, start talking about stuff. He's very calculated, and it was very odd how after the presidential visit to Tuscaloosa, and he had all this fervor and this excitement, and then the very next week it seemed like he was tamping it down, and then every time that whether it's Nick's kids this week, Regions last week, he basically, well, I don't even know why we need a commission.
Or maybe just the announcement of it and getting some headlines. Ted Cruz was like, hey. Been working on this. Might not need one. Plus, I heard Coach Saban says he doesn't want to do it.
See, and that would be
We'll put
great.
this at the top of at the front of the line.
And that would be great if somebody's working on this behind the scenes and it just wasn't widely known and they're getting close to actually passing something of significance. That'd be great, but do we have any confidence that that's how the government's going to operate and that's actually happening?
I don't know, but I do know one thing. Whatever side of the aisle you're on, or maybe it just depends on the issue or the candidate, you want to lose some voters, then have hey, we're going to fix college football by all of intents and purposes, by appearances, and then get in the way of that and hold that bill up. See how your reelection goes.
One final note, according to Ross Dellinger from Yahoo Sports, he says officials in the SEC and the Big Ten privately held concerns over the commission's concepts. So if Tony Petitti and Greg Sankey were not a fan of this presidential commission, they might have been the ones put the brakes on it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
They had already started taking recommendations for other members of the commission.
I knew they were powerful, but you're telling me those guys are more powerful than the president of
That's
the
what
United
I'm
States?
saying. Is that how that works? I guess.
Guess so.
Well, and then meanwhile, you've got a story that is supposed to be coming out very soon that Tommy Tuberville is going to run for governor of the state of Alabama. And he is one that has been on Capitol Hill championing these type NIL transfer portal guardrails. So not really sure when he would resign his commission, if he would resign his commission as a senator. Does he run for governor and still maintain his seat in case he does not win the gubernatorial election?
What are his views on the lottery?
It's a great question, Lynch.
That's my first question.
But I talked to someone yesterday who talks to Tuberville pretty regularly, and he says that is because I asked him. I said, "Is this happening?" Because I've seen different stories about he's going to run for governor.
Yeah,
and it was like, yes, it is going to happen.
And talking with someone else, they had to confirm it. For someone, it's going to happen. Gov Tubbs. Tubbs for Gov.
So you go from Meemaw to Tubbs.
Don't call him Wingnut. Y'all used to do that, and that's mean. That's mean.
Well, he does look like a wingnut. He's got big ears.
Well, he can't help that. That's the way God made him. But you know what? That's what you want in a politician, someone who listens.
He can't miss but listen based on those ears.
Golly, that is so mean, Pat.
It's not mean.
It is mean. He's very, very self-conscious about his ears, and you know he is.
I didn't call him Dumbo.
Oh, man. There it is. There it is.
I've known Tommy a long time.
Yeah, he's good people.
Met him at a GMC dealership in Birmingham.
He was very nice to me I was still in school, and we had a project and had to go and cover an event. And he told all the other working members of the media, hang on, we got young people. I'll never forget it. Made an A.
Fear the thumb.
Yep.
Coming up next, Rodney Orr from Tider Insider. He will join the program. A couple of really big national recruits. They have set June as the month that they're going to tell us if they're going to go to Alabama to play. We'll get Rodney Orr's very latest on those players. Also next hour, Skip Holtz, Birmingham Stallions. This is Jocks 94.5. Some of the headlines as we begin hour number 2 of Jox's three-man front. Pat, Molly, Conrad, Landrum Roberts with you until 2 o'clock. Rodney Orr is going to join us momentarily. We're anticipating sometime this morning the major power players in the college football playoff. They're going to be on a conference call. And in this conference call, it is expected that they will finalize plans for this year's college football playoff, that they will go to straight seeding. So we'll see if that indeed comes to fruition. Yahoo Sports is reporting that the Presidential Commission on College Sports, that former Alabama coach Nick Saban was going to be a part of, that it has hit pause. The White House has decided to pause the activities of that commission, trying to give a little bit more time for senators like Ted Cruz and Cory Booker to reach an agreement on federal legislation. So we'll see if that comes to fruition as well. Auburn is on the field at the Hoover Metropolitan Stadium, getting ready to take on the Texas A&M Aggies, as the Aggies will be sporting their maroon tops and maroon caps today against Auburn.
That is correct, and we'll keep you updated. And all of our SEC tournament updates are brought to you by Phil Sandoval's Mexican Restaurant right there in Hoover, Brock's Gap to be exact. So if you're heading out that way or you're around that area, check out Phil Sandoval's.
Let's go to Tuscaloosa. Rodney Orr from Tider Insider joins us now on three-man front. Rodney, I hope you've had a good week.
I've had a great week, guys. How about you?
We have had a good week as well. I just want to start right out of the gate. I know we don't talk a lot of college baseball until we get to the SEC baseball tournament in Hoover, but Alabama's head coach, Coach Vaughn, he made a strong case yesterday afternoon after the loss to Tennessee that they should be one of the SEC teams hosting a regional next week. You got a thought one way or another of what the Alabama baseball team has been able to do this year?
Well, I mean, again, I think you could look at it both ways. He's got a vested interest there, hoping to host a regional, and I can certainly see that. I mean, they've had a good season. They won 41 games, and they were over 500 in the SEC, and so I see all the things that maybe would certainly make them a legitimate host. But at the same time, I mean, I think the way it is, and I think Rob Vaughn agrees with this, is really doesn't matter. Once you get into you've got to be able to take it on the road too. So whatever happens. But I certainly hope that they get to host.
Rodney, as far as the banter there with your subscribers at Tider Insider, what do you guesstimate gets talked about more? Is it Alabama softball or is it Alabama baseball?
Well, it's it just depends. I guess it's pretty even actually. I tell you what, since you asked that question, what really has dominated the conversation, now it's slowed down a little bit now, has been basketball. So obviously you would think during the season for sure. But I mean, even after the season, when you were in spring practice, it used to be that spring football practice dominated the conversation. But basketball dominated the conversation all over the course of the spring. And but the question you asked, no, I think it's pretty even.
All right, so we're already starting to see some early lists, and we're going to get preseason magazines coming out in the next 30 to 45 days as we have officially hit the talking season for the 2025 campaign. Vegas has Alabama as the third best odds to win the SEC championship. How high are you, Rodney, personally, on this year's Alabama team? Would you have more excitement in regards to what they could do this year in year two as opposed to year one under Kalen DeBoer?
Yeah, I think certainly. Again, I think that transition was, it's obviously very tough in that first year, most of the transitions, and this one was a very unique one, and especially given now that the portal and the NIL, those things make it even more complicated, I think. But no, I think they're settled now. Familiarity helps. Having some time together, but. I just look at the personnel too. I mean, on the defensive side of the ball, you've got you got a few really good defensive linemen coming back, and you got some young players under them that I think can be really good. Linebackers getting Justin Jefferson back, and also Deontay Lawson, and you got Nakai Hill-Green that transferred. That's big. I think you've got Damani Jackson and Zabian Brown back at corners, and some guys that are really good behind them. You got Sab, you got Bray Hubbard, you got Zayd Mincy at safety. I think the defense I think they feel confident that defense is going to take a big step this year. So I feel good about the personnel that they have. Then you look on the offensive line. I think that they've got a great foundation there with the guys that they have coming back. That I think the wide receiver core is legit. And I think the running back room is okay. And I think the question is, right now, Ty Simpson's the guy as we kind of head into August. And I think Ty has all the tools, but just how he kind of handles everything once we get going in the season. So, I could see why Alabama's, certainly there's some optimism there.
As far as the offensive line, and you got 3 starters, if I'm correct, that are coming back, maybe the only question mark would be experience depth. What does that look like heading into the season?
Well, it's a good question because it's, like you've got obviously Caden Proctor at left tackle, and I think a little surprised that he's being ranked the number 1 overall pick by some of these mock drafts so early, but and then you've got Parker Brailsford, I think is legitimately potentially the best center in the country. Jaden Roberts is going into his 3rd year at right guard, and then of course Wilkin Formby has some experience, and I think he's going to take a big jump this year. I think Cam Dewberry, Gino DeMarc at that left guard, Gino Vandemark at that left guard spot. Maybe they'll continue to kind of operate there. I think Vandemark gives them a really good swing guy, can play both guard, center. That's really valuable. I think tackle is a spot where you have to be a little concerned. I know Olas Lennon had a good spring at tackle when Proctor was out, and he got a lot of experience. Most people consider him more of an interior guy, but I do think that tackle spot you really don't have. Matter of fact, I thought maybe they might grab an extra tackle in the portal. So I think that is something that is a question mark.
Well, one thing's for sure, the wide receiver core, that is something that Kalen DeBoer has even mentioned in this offseason that he's really excited about. I understand that Devontae Smith, former Alabama Heisman Trophy winner, he has been working closely with Ryan Williams. And I also saw where I think it was Horton and Ryan Williams, they're down hanging out with John Gruden in Tampa Bay. Just your thoughts on this wide receiver core and how good they could be.
Well, it's, all the buzz coming out of that building is that they're really excited about those guys, that they're going to take a big jump. And I think, as great as Ryan Williams was for most of the season last year, he didn't have an opportunity to go through spring practice before his freshman year. And I think, he was just kind of learning some things on the run. And I think, so this is certainly a great opportunity for him to even get better, route running, refining some things. So maybe we even see a better Ryan Williams if possible. And then, Jeremy Bernard's back. I think he's the glue to the whole deal because I think of his leadership and maturity. And then I think Isaiah Horton's a huge addition. Obviously, we've talked about him at wide receiver, 6'4", 210, and he was productive at Miami. And I think he's a guy that made a ton of big plays in the scrimmages this spring and in the practices. So that's really good. And then I think they've got some potential depth behind them, whether Rico Scott comes on and does what he certainly has the potential to do. And you've got some freshmen. Latsier Brooks is really dynamic. Cole Adams is back, by the way, after the injury. And then I think Derek Meadows, too, is another guy. It's a young freshman that it'll be interesting to see if he can carve a niche for himself, but real early. But no, I think it's a group that's going to be really capable of doing some big things.
With Ty Simpson, by all accounts, he is the starter. Maybe it's his job to lose. I know that you're going to hear otherwise until they finally name one in fall camp, Rodney. But with Jalen Milroe, you had that added aspect, that dynamic of what he could do with his legs. With Ty Simpson, it's gonna be different. Now Ryan Grubb coming in, turnover there in the running back room, talented running back room. It starts with Jam Miller. What does that look like in your opinion? How do you see it as far as running back reps and maybe more design runs that we see this fall?
Yeah, I think that's true. I do think that you're going to see more of a traditional run game, less quarterback probably. But I will say this now: Ty is much more athletic than maybe some people give him credit for. He can move around really well. Don't forget that. And I know it's against Mercer or whoever, but he had that 79-yard touchdown run where he flashed a little bit of speed. Ty is a little bit better, but again, you're right. He's not going to be running like Milroe. But Jam Miller, obviously, returning. He's got a lot of experience. Maybe he'll be better in terms of the way they get him the ball this year. Richard Young, the rising sophomore, redshirt sophomore, who a lot of people have been kind of waiting on him to come around, as former 5-star player, and he can really run strong between the tackles. I think maybe Richard needs to kind of get a little more shake and bake to him. But I tell you a guy to watch out for, we've been kind of pumping him a lot on TighterInsider.com, is Daniel Hill from Meridian, who was a freshman last year, came in that freshman class last year and played some. But he's a 235, 240-pound sledgehammer back that can really run between the tackles. And, my understanding is that one of the big concerns has been just having a back that breaks tackles, that they really weren't very effective doing that last year. And I think Daniel Hill really impressed them in the spring with his ability to break tackles, but he's got the ability to bounce it outside, and he's got some really good hands too. So Daniel Hill might be a guy to keep an eye on in that running back room.
All right, so recruiting is going to be heating up over the next couple months. I mean, it never dies down, but you're going to have a lot of guys that's going to make some early verbal commitments. And I want to ask you about an elite running back. I think he's saying his name correctly, Xavier Crowell or Crowell.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep. He's going to commit on June the 26th, and Alabama is one of the schools that he has listed as one of his final teams. What can you tell us about Xavier and the outlook of him coming to Tuscaloosa?
Well, first of all, he's reclassified. He was originally going to be in the 2027 class, and a lot of people had him ticketed to be the number one running back in that class for now anyway. And then he reclassified to 2026, so he's still rated, pretty highly. He's a top 75 type player, and he's obviously from Jackson, Alabama. But I feel really good about Alabama's chance. I know he's got Texas and some others still on his list. Auburn's been in the mix and so forth. But right now I still feel really good. That last weekend, I think before his commitment, he will be visiting Alabama. So that's good. But I do think Alabama's in good position with Xavier Crowell.
He is Rodney Orr, and he's so kind to join us year-round here on Three Man Front. Tighter Insider is where you go, at Tighter Insider there on X. Rodney, we always appreciate your time. Have a wonderful and safe Memorial Day weekend, and we'll talk to you next Thursday.
You guys do the same. Looking forward to it. Take care.
Thank you, Rodney. You as well. Rodney Orr, the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
Well, I've been telling you for some time now about Abide Roofing and my great friends over at Abide Roofing. Travis Lloyd and his local roofing team, they're absolute pros, and they're offering something tremendous, and you should take advantage of it. It's a free roof inspection. There's no strings attached. There's no pressure. They just want to give you an honest look at what's going up on top of your roof to make sure and ensure that you have no problems, whether it's loose shingles or you've got some gutter problems, or listen, you need a full roof replacement like I did. They can take care of that as well. They worked with my insurance company very closely. Travis Lloyd did, and they got me a brand new roof through my insurance company. They can handle that for you. Travis was right there throughout the whole process. And I trust these guys 100%. They're licensed, they're bonded, they're insured, they're the real deal. And the roof products that they use is just incredible. My roof looks better today than when the builder built my house some years ago. So call them today at Abide Roofing, 205-922-7134. Go to their website, abideroof.com. The number again, 205-922-7134. Take advantage of that free roof inspection at Abide Roofing.
Break down some of what Rodney just told us, get you updated what's going on in Hoover as they're trying to conclude the second round of play before third round action starts later on today. Auburn taking on Texas A&M. Also your phone calls, 800-239-WJOX. Three-man front on a Thursday, Jocks 94.5. $11:19, three-man fronts. It is time for an SEC baseball tournament update as they play in the bottom of the first inning. No score between Auburn and Texas A&M. Tigers have a runner on first with Cooper McMurray at the plate with a 1-2 count. Cam Tilley, the Auburn starting pitcher, walked the first man that he faced, then promptly struck out the side. And this FCC tournament update being brought to you by Phil Sandoval's Mexican restaurant there in Hoover.
I will tell you one thing. He has got a very tough and tight strike zone today because a couple of times I thought Tilley absolutely had a strike. And during this at bat, you could tell the home plate umpire squeezing the Texas A&M pitcher right now.
I want that home plate umpire for the 3:00 game. I want him to have a really big strike zone. Really big. I want to see fireworks. I want to see Vitello go out there and just give him a piece of his mind.
Will you heckle him while we're out
I've
there,
never been to a game that Tony Vitello got thrown out. That's kind of on my bucket list of sports things.
Let's make it happen today.
That's right. That's right.
We can do this.
Mandu is right there in downtown Homewood. Check it out. It's electrical muscle stimulation fitness. Summertime. Maybe you don't get into the bathing suit wear. That's fine, but you're going to be wearing less clothes and you want to feel good about yourself. Not only during the summer months when it's warm, but year round. Mandu can help you achieve that. Right now, they do have tailor-made programs with the electrical muscle stimulation fitness. If you want to work on those glutes, maybe the legs, maybe you want to work on the arms, you can do that. Specialized programs, but the best thing about Mandu, the best thing, 15-minute workout, equivalent to 6 to 8 hours in a gym. Because of that technology, the deep tissue that the electric pulses are going to give you, you're going to achieve that. I've gotten a lot of results, a lot of people that have gone there. Everybody I've talked to has gotten results. You got to try it. Your first visit is free. It's Mandu in downtown Homewood, MANDUU.com. Paul and the gang, they'll take care of you, but make sure when you go to Mandu in downtown Homewood, you tell them Landrum from Three Man Front sent you.
So besides the Auburn game that we'll be following closely throughout the morning and early part of the afternoon, some other things that are making the rounds today, including the potential of straight seeding now becoming a thing for the college football playoff. College football playoff executives are expected to meet this morning to discuss straight seeding for the 2025 playoffs, and there is momentum for an approval today. CBS Sports and Yahoo are both reporting that. The current 12-team format designates the top 4 seeds of the 4 best conference champions. A straight seeding model needs to be a committee approval. The financial compromise, which would be about $8 million to the 4 champions, even if they are not inside the top 4. So that was kind of the negotiating process. It's like, look, if we take away the fact that Arizona State, you do not get a bye, we're going to pay you. And that's basically what they're doing. So if these teams do not find themselves in the college football playoff rankings and you're a conference champion, then it's going to be straight seeding, but we are going to compensate you with more money, at least in the 2025 season.
Well, now more than ever, money talks, right?
Sure.
Everybody's looking for that extra cheddar.
Talking about NIL.
Yeah.
Talking about everything else. Also this morning, Bill Connolly, who puts out the ESPN S&P rankings, he put out this morning that the Alabama Crimson Tide, according to his brand new S&P, is number 2 in America.
And Bill's, those rankings are historically 100% accurate, right, Pat?
Sure. Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Well, you remember Mississippi State from a few years ago.
Well, that was FPI.
I forget.
And maybe Bill Connolly had them as well, but the one you're referring to.
It was 3 letters.
Yeah. It was the FPI because I remember we had Brad Edwards on the show and we said, excuse me?
Yeah, and they had to retabulate or recalculate.
And then the next time the FPI came out, all of a sudden Mississippi State was not even.
But this, what is it called? The S&P?
Yeah, it's the Bill Connolly. It's the
S&P 500.
S&P plus ranking.
Rankings.
Plus.
But that accounts for returning production and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, what's the
and I would think that Alabama would favor Alabama in that stat compared to a lot of other schools.
It was returning production, recent recruiting, and then the recent historical success of your program.
See, that's where the Bama haters of the world will absolutely rip that apart. Because what you did last year or the year before, especially now in the transfer portal era, has nothing to do with what that team potentially could do this year.
I hope that's the case.
But he has Ohio State number 1 as the Big Ten champion, Alabama as the Southeastern Conference champion, number 2.
Doesn't he have them undefeated?
I do not have that number in front of me.
They're undefeated.
Penn State is number 3 according to his S&P rankings. Georgia is 4. Now, if you play out the college football playoff based on what's expected to come out today, you would have Ohio State as a 1 seed, Bama 2, Penn State 3, Georgia 4. Then you would have Boise taking on number 5 Texas, number 11 Kansas State, which is the Big 12 champion. They would take on Notre Dame as an at-large. Michigan versus number 7 Oregon, both at-large. LSU and at-large against number 8 Clemson. And the first 4 teams out, according to Bill Connolly, would be Ole Miss, Miami, Tennessee, and Florida. So 3, they would just be
Tennessee?
Yeah.
It would be Florida there.
It would be just like it was this last year when it was South Carolina, Ole Miss, and Alabama.
And Miami.
And Miami.
And Miami.
So according to this, it would be Ole Miss, Miami, Tennessee, and Florida out.
Was that, I wonder in Bill's opinion, if it was Nico that put him over the edge and took him from being, yes, they're absolutely going to be in, to now being one of those bubble teams. I guess that's what we call them.
Yeah, no, that's yeah, just them and Florida both right there is kind of wild because I just feel like they're very different situations, right? You're banking on all the high ceiling potential for Florida, and then with Tennessee, I guess you're assuming that everybody around Nico was good enough that Aguilar's going to come in and be just fine.
Florida surprises me. Not that I think they're going to have a dreadful year. I think that they'll be improved even over last year, but I don't know.
They could be better this year, and their record's not going to look that much different, I think. Possibly.
Yeah. As opposed to maybe South Carolina, record might be a little bit better, but are they going to be as good as they were last year?
It's a fair question.
We know they're solid at quarterback, but some of the other departures that they've had. Yeah.
Well, if you're headed to catch some SEC baseball this week in Hoover, like we are, stop by our friends at Big Whiskey's. They have great food of all kinds. They have patio dining outside or big screens in the bar to catch all of the action. They have afternoon and late night happy hour with weekend brunch specials. Plus, the kitchen is open late, so you can visit before or after any of the games. So like I said, in the Stadium Trace Village, not far from the Hoover Met. That's our friends at Big Whiskey's.
The text line is open, but so are the phone lines. 800-239-WJOX. Let's go to Michael. Michael, how are you?
I'm good, Wayne. Who do y'all think could replace Chris Ramones as the Mississippi State coach?
Pat, who is the assistant at Georgia that's under Wes Johnson, who coached there at Mississippi State at one time? I can't recall his name. Pat's looking it up right now, but it's a assistant coach that's currently on the Georgia staff. I think that was the latest.
Is it
thing
Will
we saw.
Coggin? Was
Yes.
Will Coggin.
Yep.
There you go. Thank
That's
you,
it.
Conrad.
Yes, sir. And then I got another question. Hugh Freeze, he has to not just get the bowl game. He has to get 8 wins or more.
I agree with you. If that was a declarative statement, yeah.
Do you think he can possibly beat Georgia, Alabama? I mean, he's got to win one of those two.
I don't know, Michael. Thank you for the phone call. We always appreciate you chiming in. I don't know. There's a lot to be excited about if you're Auburn roster wise. Quarterback wise, I think there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic. The guys he's going to throw to first and foremost, the offensive line. But how does that work? And I know I harp on it, and Auburn fans, I'm sorry, but game management. Hugh Freeze, how does he manage games this year? Some pivotal, and it wasn't all on him, but he is the head coach and the buck stops with him. So what does that look like this year? The likes of Arkansas, the likes of Oklahoma, the likes of Missouri. What does that look like in those type of games that can be the difference in going 5-7 or getting those 8 wins that you're talking about?
So you just asked about Mississippi State. The very latest that I'm reading from some insiders over in Starkville is that Brian O'Connor, who is the head baseball coach at the University of Virginia, has apparently let Mississippi State folks know he is interested in that position. Virginia is a very good baseball program. If you do not follow. Also, Oregon head coach Mark Wisakowski.
Too tough to spell and say. Can't do it.
The grass is greener up there. He's not going to leave.
He's leveraging Phil.
That's right.
That's what he's doing.
Phil, I want my own shoe, damn it.
Dan, what did you say when you wanted more money?
So, and of course, Wes Johnson, he got a contract extension that was announced, I think, yesterday at the University of Georgia.
Smart move on their part, I would say.
These contracts.
But they keep saying that the name that will not go away. So I've already given you the Virginia head coach and the Oregon head coach.
Brian Snitker.
Is Kansas head coach Dan Fitzgerald.
Kansas, hey, that's a team that's making headlines. Kansas doing some.
They've been in the top 25.
Yeah.
Apparently the AD and Coach Fitzgerald know each other.
That always helps. But to be fair, so did Paul Maneri and Ray Tanner.
That's a very good point.
At least he gets another year, though.
Him and the Missouri coach.
We do have the phone still open, and our buddy Miles from over in the state of Mississippi, maybe he can weigh in on Mississippi State. Miles, you hearing anything on State and their search for a baseball coach?
You know, I haven't heard anything this week. Nothing. No, I don't have any insider information. I know some State boosters. I could give them a call, but this state, it is fascinating. I've lived in Alabama and Mississippi, and this state is insane about college baseball.
Yep.
I mean, it is definitely the number 2 sport behind football. It would be football number 1, football recruiting number 2, and then number 3 would be baseball.
I believe it.
It's wild. Pat, I know you would suggest, I've heard you mentioned collective bargaining would be a good way to go.
Yes.
For the NCAA. I think you may be onto something there, because I've heard Dan Wetzel talk about this. A union of college athletes, like if you're the NCAA or the conferences and you say we're not going to deal with just football or just basketball players, everybody has to be in the same union. There are going to be so many different interests between the different athletes that they're all going to have to compromise with each other.
There's no
within
question.
the union.
Yeah, and this new sports commission that we're anticipating is going to come to fruition once the Judge Wilkins signs off on everything. It would benefit the players to have one major voice in regards to negotiating. And that's why I would think that collective bargaining and some type of player union as a student athlete, that would be the way to go to protect them moving forward and negotiate these type deals with the so-called college sports commission.
Oh, absolutely. And it could actually be an advantage for the schools too, in a way, because it would help them, take away the fear of some of those lawsuits and those pesky unconstitutional antitrust laws they have to, abide by. You could get around that. And if I forgot the last part. Anyway, it could actually protect the schools a good bit, and it would actually be a pretty weak union. I think they wouldn't have as much power because, a junior basketball player is not going to sit out and risk hurting his NBA stock because he's out there for the good of all athletes. The idea of a strike is going to be, that's not going to be a huge problem. Y'all, let me ask you about something else. Okay, you were just talking about Vitello, and you got me thinking about, coaches and managers and who got tossed out of games. And Pat, I know you're going to remember that. All I got to do is say his name. You're going to Earl Weaver.
Absolutely.
There was that guy. Well, he was hilarious, but in his biography, his autobiography, he literally listed every umpire who ever threw him out of a game.
That's a long list, too.
Oh, yeah. He would get thrown out of games before they started. He even got thrown out of both ends of a doubleheader.
Miles, you'll appreciate this. So I'm a uniform geek, and I remember reading an article about Earl Weaver. He made it to where they would put a pocket inside an extra pocket in his baseball pants so that he could put his cigarettes. So he could put his so that he could put
That's awesome.
a pack of cigarettes in his baseball pants. I mean, Earl Weaver was one of those that would.
That's when smoking cigarettes was okay.
Yeah, he would smoke in the dugout just like Jimmy Leland used to.
You were a gentleman if you smoked cigarettes in the dugout.
Yeah,
that's so good. That's so good. Let me mention. You got me. Your story just reminded me of this. Let me mention this, and I know you guys got to move on. You guys know Ricky Cobb. Has this show. He's Super 70 Sports on Twitter.
Yeah.
And okay. He once put out a tweet and said that any Karen who, the pejorative Karen, any Karen who complains to restaurant managers in the afterlife, they're going to have to deal with Earl Weaver.
That's good.
That is good.
That's really good. Well, Miles, have a good week. If we don't hear from you tomorrow, but always appreciate your phone call.
Great to talk to y'all. Take care.
Thanks. More three-man front. We'll give you an update from Hoover as Auburn's on the field against Texas A&M. This is Jocks 94.5. It's 11:39, Jocks 94.5. We will talk to Coach Skip Holtz of the Birmingham Stallions coming up momentarily. You need to go by and see Alabama's largest selection of Sierra 1500 AT4X trucks. Absolute at the lowest price at Courtesy GMC in Trussville. Get up to $8,500 off on select models, but hurry, these deals won't last long. Up to $13,000 off MSRP on the SLT four-wheel drives in stock. 2 full truckloads were dropped off yesterday, and these will go fast at Courtesy GMC. Get by and see them today, this weekend, over the Memorial Day holiday. Courtesy GMC in Trussville, right off of exit 32, I-459 in Trussville on Edwards Lake Road. You can't miss it. It is right next to Lowe's. That is courtesybirmingham.com.
SEC baseball tournament update right now. Texas A&M, the Fighting Texas Aggies, they got something brewing in the top of the third inning. Runnings are in first and second with nobody out right now. Scoreless there in Hoover. We'll keep you up to date on that second round game. And then following that one, you'll get Tennessee and Texas to begin round 3. All of your SEC tournament updates brought to you by Phil Sandoval's Mexican restaurant there in Hoover.
Also this morning, the presidential commission that Nick Saban was supposed to be a part of, the White House now plans to pause plans for the commission. Congressional sources have told Yahoo Sports that the move is possibly rooted in its potential impact in Senate negotiations over college sports legislation. The pause would potentially give U.S. senators like Ted Cruz and Cory Booker more time to possibly reach an agreement on federal legislation when it comes to NIL and the transfer portal. The senators have met multiple times over the last 4 months, but hurdles remain.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, and maybe we get a lot of momentum with that bill, and we finally get something. My question is, how long is this going to take? Everything else
just comes to a grinding halt once it gets on Capitol Hill.
I know. Quick update back to Hoover. Texas A&M 3-run home run. They now lead Auburn 3-0 as they play in the top of the third.
So Texas A&M coming into the tournament, you guys were like slamming them left and right about how they had no chance of making the College World Series tournament.
We were very quick to judge, and Pat, you were right. You said that this was your pick. That's right. I can't keep a straight face.
It's early, folks.
It's
college baseball, aluminum bats. Anything is possible.
Yeah. I think, but though Auburn, they're secure with hosting a regional.
They're hosting.
They're top 10 RPI. And right now, according to Baseball America, their updated regional projections, Auburn would be the 7th overall seed. So if they were able to advance and that holds true, then they would host a super regional as well, most likely.
When we come back on Three-Man Front, the head football coach of the Birmingham Stallions, Skip Holtz, will join us next, talk about the Michigan Panthers in town, a Saturday 2 o'clock kickoff from Protective. That's next. Well, last weekend in St. Louis, Missouri, it was not the outcome that we wanted as the Battlehawks took out our Stallions. But back at it this week, 2 o'clock kickoff at Protective Stadium as the Michigan Panthers come calling. And joining us now on the Higginbotham Hotline is the head football coach of the Birmingham Stallions. Skip Holtz joins us on three-man front. Coach, I hope you've had a good week.
It's been a great week. It has. It's been a good week. We had an opportunity to lick our wounds a little bit. Now we head into week 9. We knew when we signed up for this, we were guaranteed 10 games, and it's been a very positive vibe around the building. Everybody was disappointed in the loss, but ultimately the goal is to get into the playoffs. And so I think everybody's excited about what we've got. We've guaranteed ourselves not only game 11, but we're going to have the opportunity to play it at home, which really is going to give us 2 more games at Protective Stadium rather than just this weekend.
Coach, I do want to go back quickly and revisit what happened last Saturday there in St. Louis. You had to be really pleased with the start that you guys had, and a lot of positive things to take away from the game as a whole, regardless of the outcome. What were your big takeaways from what you saw?
Yeah, I thought really there were a lot of good things, but there are a lot of things. Obviously, there's a coach in me as well that always sees the negative. That you got to clean up. But I don't want that to diminish what we were able to do and the points we were able to put up. One of the things that we had talked about was we really wanted to have a 0 turnover game, and we turned the ball over 3 times. But we ended up with 3 big plays for touchdowns. So we were able to put some points on the board, but it certainly wasn't as clean as we wanted. But I think every week, as I keep saying this, every week this team is almost like 50 first dates with all the different personnel, quarterbacks we've been playing. We've had one's played 3, another one's played 3. We've had 2 that have played 1. So it's like we got to keep getting better. And that's been the goal from the beginning, to continue and improve and continue to get better. And I think in a lot of areas we are, but there's some areas that we got to continue to progress in. And ultimately, what we're trying to do is make sure that we're the best team that we can be for Week 11.
Coach, I know that it has been a work of progress, and you've mentioned it each and every week on this show in regards to the quarterback, the health of your quarterback, trying to get some consistency from that position. But it's really difficult because you have to keep changing because of injuries. Yeah. But I got a feeling that you felt really good about 369 yards of offense last week. I know you did not win the game, but 245 passing, 124 rushing. Just kind of talk about that balance and how you felt offensively coming out of that game.
No, I feel like we did some really good things. I think our offensive line was challenging. I think they have one of the more aggressive fronts with what they do. Their defensive ends are very, very active, and I felt like we did a decent job of protecting the quarterback. I think we threw the deep ball really well, and therefore you get a lot of yards and you get some points. And so I thought that was a huge plus. I would have liked to seen us execute a little bit better underneath, but I felt like we did against a really good defensive football team. We were able to put up some points and give ourselves a chance to win at the end. And it was frustrating to be in field goal range there at the end. We get down there, we jump off sides, we have a fumbled snap, we get into field goal, we get back into field goal range, and then we fumble the ball. It was a frustrating finish to the game, but I certainly think there were a lot of bright spots to build off in the game last weekend.
Coach, that was going to be my question for the thicker kicker. What is that? What do you feel comfortable with putting him out there? I know that he's attempted some really long field goals this year, and the only one was extremely long. But what is that yard marker?
Well, it varies every week with the wind, obviously. Sure. But before the game, when they go out for pregame and they kick and really kind of look at the range, what yard line is that? Last weekend, our yard to gain was the 40. That if we could get to the 40-yard line, which would have been a 57-yard field goal, that was our yard to gain. Unfortunately, we fumbled the ball on the 37, and that's what we were trying to do. We were trying to get the ball inside the 40-yard line to be able to kick a field goal. But when you look at it, if he really hits it, maybe he can go to 62, type of deal, but felt really comfortable with a 57-yard field goal with his leg strength. So that was the goal last weekend. That was where we were trying to get. That differs every week, whether you've got, wind at your back, wind in your face, et cetera. But That's where we were last weekend. So I feel comfortable, really just up to probably about 60 yards for him. I don't think it's a stretch.
Talking to Skip Holtz, who is the Birmingham Stallions head coach, joining us here on the Higginbotham Hotline as he gets ready for the Michigan Panthers at Protective Stadium coming up, 2 o'clock kickoff downtown Birmingham. Coach, we had the same conversation with you last year at this time because the way the playoffs and the teams involved, you ended up, because of the schedule in the regular season, playing a playoff opponent that you were going to have to turn around and play right after you finished the regular season. But talk a little bit about how preparing for this team now, and then potentially you're going to have to see them a couple weeks from now.
Yeah, and this is a team that obviously we both have a lot of knowledge of each other. It has certainly turned into one of our biggest rivalry games on this side in the USFL division. Because they have been as good as they've been, these games have all been close. We've been very fortunate to come out with some wins, but we know it's going to be a dogfight each and every week. We've played this team, I believe, 3, 4, 5 times in the last. We've played them 5 times really in the last 2 years, and we're going to play them this time 6 and potentially 7 next week or in 2 weeks in week 11. So yeah, I think there's a little bit of, how much do you show in this game compared to how much you show in week 11? Do you run plays this week to set up week 11, et cetera? But I think the obligation we have, because every player on this roster wants to win. Don't get me wrong. They all want to win, but, people are like, well, do you rest? I mean, what really motivates your guys? Our players are here. Every play that they have on film is a resume. And all of them are aspiring to try and continue to play this game, and they don't want to try and explain to an NFL team, well, that game didn't really count because we were already in the playoffs, and so I really didn't play hard. That ain't going to go over well. So I think you're going to have 2 very highly motivated teams because, yeah, we play to win. We play for the ultimate prize, but every time they step on that field, it's part of their resume that they're putting together for their film, for their future. And so I think both teams are going to be very motivated. There is a little bit of scheme work that's happening on both sides. I mean, obviously, okay, what are we going to do? Maybe we run this week and that next week or week 11. I mean, so there's going to be some of that going on. But what you're trying to do is give your players the best opportunity to go out and showcase their talents and abilities.
Coach, I've been more than impressed with what Jamar has been able to do at the quarterback position, especially for a guy. And I know that he knows your offense very well, and you guys have a long history dating back to his college days. But what he's been able to do for a guy that was working at Dunkin' Donuts there in Vestavia is pretty amazing, and picking it right back up. But as far as that room, that position in particular, any updates you can give us on certain players, maybe progress?
No, I think, as we look at it, I think both Andrew Peasley and Case Cookus are ready to play, where a week ago they were question marks as we were walking out to the practice field, just in how good they felt with the injuries that they were overcoming. I feel like both of those 2 guys have progressed well and have really had a good week of practice. Alex Magoo continues to come along. We'll probably make a final decision on him today on whether or not he's there yet. He's practiced all week. He's got some team reps. We're starting to work him in a little bit more as he feels more and more comfortable with his throwing shoulder. But we'll make a final decision with that today. But I think, the 3 were a week ago, I felt like Jamar was the healthiest quarterback I have. I really feel like we have 3 now that are healthy, and one that is really coming along in Alex. I think he's improving. He looks a lot better this week than he did last week. And it's not just is he healthy, but can he go out there and can he execute in a team environment where he's got to make hot throws and he's going to get hit and he's got to be able to protect himself? And there's a lot of those decisions that go into it with Alex. But and you hit the nail. I have been very impressed with what Jamar has been able to do. Not from a knowledge standpoint, because I think he's been in this offense about 11 years. He knows it as well as I do. I think the thing where I've been really impressed with Jamar is what he's been able to do from a leadership standpoint, and stepping back into this team, playing with confidence, playing with the swagger, running the ball a little bit, trying to move the chains. I mean, I think I've really been impressed with the way he's handled himself from
It is 12 noon. Welcome back in. This is Three Man Front on Jocks 94.5. Appreciate Coach Skip Holtz joining us moments ago. If you missed the interview, you can download it on the Three Man Front podcast. Earlier in the program, we talked to Rodney Orr from Tider Insider. Hope to catch up with Rob Pate, former Auburn DB, in just a couple minutes, get his take on the offseason as the Auburn Tigers football team is expected to be one of the surprise teams in a lot of these preseason magazines in regards to what is expected of the Tigers. And speaking of the Tigers, Landrum, out at the Hoover Metropolitan Stadium, the Texas A&M Fighting Aggies taking on the Auburn baseball team.
Yeah, 3-run home run by the Aggies in the third inning. That's where we stand right now. 3-0 as they play in the top of the fourth. Aggies with a runner on second. We've had a pitching change for Auburn, 1 out with that runner on second. And Cam Tilley, starting pitcher for the Tigers, his day is done. All of our updates from Hoover. The SEC baseball tournament being brought to you by Phil Sandoval's Mexican Restaurant.
So later, enjoy Hoover, Aggie fans. It's over. And then you just heard the softball team.
Welcome to Birmingham.
What is that? What is that audio?
That was just something that I think Pat or Conrad found from earlier.
Yeah, it was something from, I don't know if it was this year or another year, but something Pat said about Texas A&M baseball fans coming to Hoover.
That was going to be their welcome video when they got to the team hotel.
That was in 2015, that audio.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh. Hey, they look good. They've still not surrendered a run in the SEC baseball tournament after they blanked Mississippi State 9-0, now up on Auburn 3-0.
What have you seen the latest projections in regards to the wonderful team from College Station? Have they now played themselves into an NCAA tournament bid?
That is quite possible. I will look at Baseball America and what they have now. And as I'm scrolling through, that's a no. That's a no. That is a no. Negative.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. 0.
Okay.
Nothing to see there. Nope. Wrong Texas team. Nope. No and no. A lot of Texas flavor in there, but no Texas A&M, Pat. They're going to have to win the whole darn thing in Hoover to get that automatic bid.
Yep.
Yeah, right now they have, interesting though, Baseball America, and this is a projection they put out this morning, Mississippi State, they have as a 3 seed heading out to L.A. to take on UCLA in the Big Ten. Let's see, TCU, they're going to be hosting a regional. They're in Fort Worth. Of course, Texas, we know what they're doing. Yeah, a lot of representation there from the state of Texas, but they have not made their way, at least into the projections of Baseball America. Looking at RPI and the latest RPI, Alabama and where they are right now, according to this, Alabama is 9th in RPI.
Yeah, Rob Vaughn said yesterday they were a top 12 team in the RPI.
Georgia is 1, Auburn is 2, Vanderbilt 3, Texas 4, Arkansas 5. Then you skip down all the way down to 8 where LSU is. Alabama at 9, as I mentioned. Florida is at 12. Then you've got Tennessee at 16, Ole Miss at 19. And that rounds out the SEC, or the top 25 as far as RPI. But that's really impressive.
Certainly is. It's like the basketball season all over again, except on the diamond.
And it goes back to if you're going, and I know they don't solely just go by RPI, but Alabama should host a regional. But according to this,
they just try to take things away from us, Landrum. It's fine.
I know they do.
Alabama's never gotten the benefit of the doubt in any sporting event or scenario ever.
Well, they certainly didn't get in football last year.
Well, by the way, Baseball America in their projection, they would have Alabama traveling to Fort Worth to take on TCU, the likes of University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley, and Sacramento State. Yeah. I'm pumping in that money, not only the football program.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
There was another projection.
He leads off for him, play center field.
That showed that Alabama would go to Atlanta and play Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech would host.
Okay.
Well, that's wrong because Baseball America's got them going. Just kidding. Maybe they go to Clemson.
Yeah, D1 had them going to Clemson early on in the process. If you're looking for a pontoon boat this summer, Poorhouse Branch Marina at Smith Lake is the only dealer on the lake to have Avalon pontoons. Avalon pontoons are known for luxury, comfort, and performance, and pair it with the most fuel-efficient engine on the water from Honda Marine. Poorhouse Branch Marina at Smith Lake also has Tahoe pontoons ready for family fun. Get it today with in-house financing. See it all at PoorhouseBranchMarina.com.
We continue here on Three Man Front. The text line is open, 205-834-9450. And this one comes in. It says, if you're heading toward Tuscaloosa from Mississippi on 59 past the Bology exit, is a might want to take back roads. Yeah, it says it's a parking lot and it's backed up. So anybody heading that way, of course you can check AlDOT and they'll have some of the latest traffic information as well. Our next guest is Dr. Rob Pate, who we're always pleased to be joined by, and he joins us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Dr. Rob, how are you? Hello, Rob.
We'll try this again with Dr. Rob.
Hopefully he's there. We'll continue with the text line. Bobby says, this may be an unpopular opinion, and I'm completely biased, but I'd put the white LSU helmets up against any other helmet in the country.
So I like the white ones.
I like that white helmet. I don't like it as much, though, as the yellow helmet. But you didn't ask me, Bobby, and you're entitled to your opinion.
Do you remember a couple of years ago when LSU broke out, and I think they still do at times, the purple helmet that is supposed to, like when the lights shine on it, it reflects and gives you even a different color of the purple?
Yes, I do.
And they usually wear that for a lettuce game.
Well, yeah. A non-SEC game.
Correct. Now, they will break out the white ones for SEC games.
No, it's a good-looking helmet. The helmet bracket is up there at the number 3 man front, and today we got the Coach O bracket, and that's where LSU is. And in my opinion, and Pat agreed, the toughest bracket or the toughest regional that we have in our helmet bracket. You got Ole Miss powder blue. Hard to beat that one. White Missouri helmet with the cartoon tiger on it. Black face mask. Beautiful helmet. Love that one. And then the fourth one was Texas. And that's just a clean, good look.
Yeah, LSU's winning 67% to 33% against Texas. And the Rebels are taking out Mizzou right now 87% to 13%. So that powder blue helmet for Ole Miss.
Going back to something that Miles said about Earl Weaver having the pocket inside for the cigarettes when he managed. Tommy and Trussville said, I thought Jim Leland had a pocket inside of his shirt as well. Might as well. He smoked a lot during the game.
Wait, so did you say, you said Jim Leland would smoke cigarettes in the dugout?
In the dugout,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And it was this in what?
And then every
80s?
now, and I think later in his career when smoking, it started being really taboo in public places, he would cup it.
Yeah, he would sit there on the bench in Three Rivers Stadium. And see, Three Rivers Stadium, it was interesting because their dugouts, there was no steps in the dugout because obviously the Steelers still played there. And so basically the dugout basically had a roof, but you walked right into the dugout, okay? And so he would sit at the end of the dugout with his hand cupped like this, and he'd have a cigarette, and he'd sit there smoke multiple times during the game.
Drayback looks good.
Yeah.
I was about to say, I guess by the time he got to Detroit, that was not going to happen anymore. But
he went to the Marlins before he went to Detroit.
In between Pittsburgh and Detroit. Yeah.
Yep.
Van Slyke looks good today.
What a time that used to be.
It was.
Somebody was asking me that it's like, you remember when you were a kid and you used to go to a restaurant and you'd have to ask smoking or non-smoking section?
I worked at a grocery store. I remember people with lit cigarettes coming through the line.
I remember
in a grocery store?
Yes.
I remember flying on airplanes and you could smoke.
So everyone in the cabin was just unfortunate for you.
You might as well light one up.
You turn the fan on above you and try to blow it away from you.
Those were the days.
And on the armrest,
that's when people were cool.
Yeah.
On the armrest, they had an ashtray.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's like every car used to come with a cigarette lighter and things like that, but still, that's wild.
Yeah. Yep. Times have changed.
They have. We're way less cool now. I'm kidding. It's bad.
15 years old, I went to when I went to Southeast Asia. We landed in Taipei and went to that airport. And you know how you really don't even see them anymore. The designated smoking sections. Yeah. It wasn't out in the main terminal that they smoked, but they had the smoking rooms and they had the motion sensor doors that you could just walk into, and they were everywhere. and smoke would just billow out into the main terminal. But a lot of people smoked over there. Apparently, they hadn't gotten the word, or they just don't care.
When I was in college, there would be behind one of the libraries. That's where all the international students would hang out, and they would chain smoke cigarettes. And that was the one place on campus where you would always go and see people just sitting there burning through heat.
You really don't. You're driving around. You don't see many people smoking cigarettes anymore, or the cigarette getting flicked out the window, hitting you in the windshield.
I see more people driving around with masks on.
Yeah.
Than I do people smoking.
Do you still see that?
I see a lot of people driving around actually just looking at their phone, and you wonder how they're actually driving.
Yeah.
Yeah, the amount of times you're behind somebody, you're like, why are they going so slow? And then you pass them, and you look over, and you go, because you are texting.
Do you give the courtesy tap honk, or if you realize that, you lay on it?
Courtesy.
Yeah. Did you see the Russell Crowe movie, how all that started when he went crazy? That lady laid on the horn.
No.
He did not appreciate it. He had some other stuff going on in his personal life, but that did not end good. So just remember who you lay on the horn with.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
There was a Michael Douglas movie that was the same way.
Falling Down, that was a really good movie.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't want to pay a certain amount for a Coke. But no, this was another one with Russell Crowe. And this nice mom, she didn't appreciate something, and she was a little too aggressive with the horn, and that's when things really ramped up.
Well, that's like there was that really good show on Netflix last year. I don't know if y'all watched it, called Beef, and that was the entire thing. It was about a road rage incident, and then these two people ended up trying to like hunt each other down and kill each other essentially because yeah, it was really good. It won a bunch of
Oh, nice.
It was good. Highly recommend it.
You ever had road rage?
I honestly don't have that bad of road rage. Paige is actually much worse than I am. Believe it or not. Yeah. She does not. You don't.
Sweet innocent Paige.
Yeah, don't mess with my wife on the road. She's not playing around.
So what does she do? She'll give
the
give a finger?
Yeah, the birdies come out.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. She likes to send a message.
Ill number one.
That's right.
Interesting. Mystic Beverage, Blunt County, Alabama. Sparkling water infused with various cannabinoids. If you want something, a great alternative to alcohol, or just a great way to elevate your vibe, your mood, you can do it with our friends at Mystic Beverage. They have different varieties you can choose from. They got 4 delicious flavors, but the different varieties that you can choose from, it just depends on where you want to go. You want to go with the High Hills Delta 9. You want to go with the Nirvanic, or my favorite, that's the Lift Blend. It's got the green coffee bean extract. That is going to put you in a focus, I got to get stuff done type of mood. And if you're not feeling like coffee one morning, delicious way to start your day. It's Mystic Beverage, mysticbeverage.com. You can find them at your local Piggly Wiggly, mysticbeverage.com, to check out all the selections that they have available, and a great summertime refreshment. And you're not hammered, Conrad, before noon. Sorry, that was my own little personal.
Why was that directed towards me?
I'm sorry. You went on a bachelor trip last.
Oh, well, yeah, that was.
I was talking to your friend.
And you were hungover this morning, throwing up during morning jogs.
Please do not tell people that, because that was
not. Well, what was it from?
I don't know. You never wake up and you don't feel good? I mean, I didn't feel bad, and then it just, like that. Started
What if your dog
sweating
Pharaoh had picked something up out in the yard, and while you were asleep, he licked you in the mouth?
Honestly, wouldn't put it past him.
That's probably why you're throwing up.
Probably.
It's probably a dead chipmunk.
Thank you.
It's lunchtime.
I hadn't thought about that. Thank you.
Sorry.
End of the 4th inning over in Hoover, and Texas A&M, they're holding on to a 3-0 lead over the Auburn Tigers. If you want to hear play-by-play of that game, you can tune over to our sister station, AM 690. More three-man front. This is Jocks 94.5. 12:18, Jocks 94.5. We'll give you an update what's going on in Hoover, Alabama, as Texas A&M takes on the Auburn Tigers.
Well, let me tell you about our friends at Diamonds Direct because they have exceptional service and quality that stands the test of time. Their team is committed to building long-term relationships. They're not just making a sale. They take the time to understand your needs for now and in the future. And when you are ready to upgrade your diamond, you'll receive up to 110% off your original purchase price towards your new selection and a signature perk that sets them apart. They also offer free cleanings and polishings from resizing and routine repairs. Diamonds Direct is your go-to jeweler for life's most meaningful moments.
All right, so the NFL earlier this week, they decided and they voted, it was unanimous, 32-0, that players will be allowed to play in the Olympics in flag football. So what we're going to do, we're going to do a little exercise here on Three Man Front. And keep in mind, here's the disclaimer.
Like physical exercise or?
No, this is more of a mental aspect to exercise.
I was stretching in the break.
You didn't need to do that.
Yeah.
Because I know you're about to throw up because you're sick with
Conrad.
The virus.
Well, it's Conrad 19.
That's what it is.
Touche.
So basically what we're going to do is we're going to have a 3-round draft of who you would pick for your international flag football team if the Olympics were held next week.
Yes.
Now, we have drawn numbers, and this will be a snake draft. And for those, I know a lot of our listeners, they participate in fantasy draft. The snake draft, basically, it will go, Molly will pick first, Landrum will pick second, Conrad third, and then Conrad will have the first pick of the second round, and it will go 3, 2, 1. So Landrum, you're right in the middle in all three of the drafts. So basically what we're going to do is you can do quarterback, running back, and wide receiver. So we're just doing 3 rounds. Okay. So this would who would be on your flag football team if it was starting next week, not 2028. Hit the music, maestro. Here we go. Round 1. Molly Robinson is on the clock for your flag football team for the Olympics.
5 seconds.
Who you got? Again, we're doing quarterback, running back, or wide receiver. Whoever you want to be first, it's up to you.
Well, I'm taking Saquon Barkley.
Barkley's your first pick. So Molly takes Barkley. He is off the board. Landrum Roberts, you now have the first pick in your draft.
I'm going to go quarterback, Pat. I'm going to roll with one Lamar Jackson.
Good pick. So Landrum's already got a quarterback for his international flag football team. Conrad, you're up.
This is an interesting debate here. I feel like quarterback is a smart way to go here. So I guess Molly will just have her pick of the litter after this. I will take Jaden Daniels to be my quarterback.
Okay.
That's solid, Conrad.
It's a good pick. So now Conrad, because we're doing the snake, he now gets to pick again.
I will take this player because I have a strong affinity for him, and I know Molly's probably going to want to take him. So actually, you just took a running back, so never mind. I changed my mind. I'm going to go Jamar Chase.
Chase.
I will take Jamar Chase with my second pick.
All right. Landrum Roberts with his next pick.
He's been very outspoken. He's a great American. He's a pride of the Southeastern Conference, and he's pretty darn good at his craft. Justin Jefferson, my wide receiver.
All right, Molly.
Wants to be there. That matters.
You grabbed a running back in your first round. Who you got?
You know, I'm going to take a gamble on someone because I think he would be really fun to watch in the Olympics.
Jalen Milroe.
Do it.
I'm taking Travis Hunter.
Okay, that would be okay. That would be a fun one.
So she's obviously not putting the emphasis on a quarterback because she has not drafted a quarterback.
Well, I mean, they've already
yet.
taken quarterbacks.
I was about to say she has no reason.
It's not like
to.
I need to.
Well, you got to have a quarterback.
You got to have one.
Yeah, but they've already taken one. So I don't have to take one now.
Well, now you do because it's your third pick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot we're doing a snake draft. I'll take Mahomes.
He'll be retired.
Well, yeah, he's washed up.
Over the hill.
He's got the 5th best odds of being the quarterback.
Might
of
as
the
well
USA
just roll
team.
Flacco out there at that point.
Okay, Landrum, who's your third and final pick?
I don't think so.
I don't think I want a running back.
Well, don't take one.
I'm not going to. I'm going to go Xavier Worthy. 40-yard dash time. Speed wins.
That was very
flag
interesting that you
football
went there.
Olympics. Speed wins gold medals.
All right, who's your final? Go ahead, take two as your backup quarterback.
Just do it, Conrad.
Do it.
Do it.
Can he play running back? He doesn't get hit enough as a quarterback, so let's put him at running back. No, this is the player I wanted to take last round, so I'm glad he's still here for me. I'm going to go, he's a running back, but also very versatile out of the backfield as a pass catcher, Jahmyr Gibbs.
It's a good one.
That's a good one.
Solid.
All right, so a recap. Molly, who is your top three on your flag football team?
Pat Mahomes, Saquon Barkley, and Travis Hunter.
That's a very, very solid roster. How about you, Landrum? Who's your top three?
Lamar Jackson is my quarterback, wide receiver Justin Jefferson, and wide receiver, whatever we need, Xavier Worthy.
Conrad.
And my quarterback is Jaden Daniels. My wide receiver is Jamar Chase, and my running back is Jahmyr Gibbs.
Let me tell you what. Those three teams.
Those are solid.
Those are like, wow.
Yeah.
They'd be pretty good. And just think, nine of those guys can play together in the
If
Olympics.
you put them against the rest of the international field, those three teams right there would all just be battling for who gets gold, who gets silver, who gets bronze.
So out of these 9 players that you guys just drafted, how many of those 9 do you believe would consider playing flag football? We know Jefferson is a go.
Unless it's, and that'd be a bad look. I don't guess contract would get in the way. I think every NFL player is going to be vying for a spot on this.
So you think their agents will be going?
Yeah, who
like
would have ever
wall-to-wall
thought
crazy
that
trying to get them
NFL
home?
players would be able to compete other than Herschel Walker in a bobsled competition and earn a gold medal? Yeah, I think they're on board.
I think most of them will be.
Who would your 3 be? Just go ahead and say it. Jackson Dart, DJ Metcalf, and Quinshon
And AJ
Judkins.
Brown. There you go. Or Quinshon Judkins. There you go.
Perfect.
You're all set.
Oh, for me, I would probably go Lamar Jackson as my quarterback, just because he gives me that extra element.
Yeah.
I really like Jahmyr Gibbs, man. I really like him.
It's a good pick.
He's good.
I'm envious of the pick a little bit.
Yeah.
Hey, and you could have had him. But I don't want a running back. I'm going to go with 2 wide receivers.
No, if I had to make a fourth selection, he would have been my 4th.
Well, no, he wouldn't have because I took
And
him.
her pick with Travis Hunter, that intrigues me.
Well, yeah, and he could play both ways, as we know.
That's why I picked him.
Yeah.
Be very easy.
Taking
He
a
never
gamble
comes
on
off
a
the
rookie.
field.
No.
Taking a gamble on a rookie, but I think he'll do great.
So that would be my 3.
That'd be tough.
But all 3 of your teams are outstanding. Those are.
Here's a serious question. I'm not saying he's going to play. Do you think that they make Tom Brady an honorary member of the team so that he gets a gold medal? Seriously.
They make him a captain.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see
He
that.
Because he's
is
accomplished
serving
everything else.
serving the Corey Pavin Davis Love role at Ryder Cup. That's what he's doing. He's motivator. But if he needs to be called into action,
He could also play.
he could get warmed up. He comes in and what the thing if this is a one-time deal, just pray for the health of these NFL players. Somebody tears a knee.
Well, and that's the problem, right? Yeah, the first time somebody gets hurt, that's done. It's done.
It's done.
Nobody's doing that anymore. So hopefully that won't happen.
And that exercise also proves at how incredibly deep that this American team could be.
That's why I think it's going to be so competitive. This is going to be not only I want to
Patrick
play for
Mahomes-
my country. This is a new thing. I want to be a part of that dream team, but also it's a pride thing.
Oh, absolutely.
I was selected. I think all of these guys are going to have their name in the hat.
Absolutely. I mean, again, this is just our exercise. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, who I think we all agree is the best quarterback of the last 5 to 10 years, he was the 3rd pick in the flag football draft. Like the 3rd quarterback taken. That just shows you how deep it is and how much talent there is out there.
When we come back on 3-Man Front, we'll give you the very latest from Hoover Metropolitan Stadium as Auburn and Texas A&M, they continue in the middle innings. This is Jocks 94.5.
12:31 three-man front on a Thursday. Update from Hoover. Final game of the second round taking place. Auburn and Texas A&M. Aggies were up 3-0 after a 3-run home run. Auburn has added a run in the bottom of the fifth as Eric Snow goes deep 3-1. Bottom of the fifth. Tigers still batting, 1 out and a 2-2 count to Cooper McMurray. And all of our SEC tournament updates brought to you by Phil Sandoval's Mexican Restaurant, Bronx Gap there in Hoover. If you're around the Met today, tomorrow, all weekend, or anytime, get by Phil Sandoval's Mexican Restaurant. Also want to tell you about our friends at Russell Marine. Russell Marine right now at Smith Lake, they have their open house going on all the way through Saturday the 24th. You can check out the larger, new and improved showroom, expanded lineup of boat brands. You can view boats from Sea Ray, Key West, Sportsman, Nautique, Godfrey pontoon boats, Creval, and more. Special pricing on all inventory and 20% off in the pro shop. That's huge. Right now, it's a Russell Marine Smith Lake open house through Saturday, this Saturday, the 24th. Take advantage of all of these great deals. You can also register to win great prizes at Russell Marine Smith Lake. Get all the details, russellmarine.net on the events page, and you can follow them on Facebook. Fun exercise with our mock draft and when the Olympic flag international football teams are announced and NFL players. All the portions of this show can be found at jocksfm.com and the Three-Man Front podcast. Your interaction is vital to this show. It actually is the lifeblood of this show. And we have a lot of texts that are rolling in from cigarettes, Pat, to NFL teams and other things. 205-834-9450. Also helmets. That's a big topic of conversation.
Yes.
Helmet brackets going on. Vote now.
Black Alabama helmet?
Maybe. Ryan adds, on the armrest of every seat, there was an ashtray.
That's just wild to me.
Could you buy, like I know that you can buy now the, what do they call it? You know, when you're going overseas, I'll come back to it. Anyways, thank you, Ryan, for the phone call.
It's something involving cigarettes?
Well, just all of those kind of items. Liquor.
Oh, duty free.
Duty free. Of course, you would know. Duty.
Stop it.
You would know that.
FSU Dave reminded me, and once he texted me and told me about it, I do remember this now. I think the smoking was reserved for the back of the plane.
So if you're in first class, you couldn't light up?
They might have had different rules for first class. Yeah. But they would have a placard that would show you where smoking would begin and non-smoking.
First class is for the other stuff. Cigarettes in the back.
What else could you take onto a plane back then? I'm
probably a knife.
I mean, I feel like pre 9/11, honestly, you could probably take just about anything on a plane, could you not?
I mean, again, you didn't have like laptops. A lot of people back when I was really young flying.
It's a long flight. I brought my record player.
Well, that's what I wonder. Like when cell phones first became a thing, when did they realize, hey, these cell phones are kind of messing up with the planes, and that's why you have airplane mode and just kind of how that whole...
But do cell phones really mess up with planes? I always heard that that's kind of a misnomer.
See, that's my thing. I feel like you can't tell me that there's not someone on most flights that forgets to put their phone in
There's a theory out there that the reason is that would be really annoying with 122 passengers and some of the people who don't have the courtesy not to have an open conversation surrounded by others. And why it always happens, but it does. Airports. And I'm always next to that person.
That's a good point. I think that's maybe what it is.
Just a theory.
That would make sense.
Fat Joe says, I remember being in middle school and the teachers would come out of the teacher's lounge and it would look like a Cheech and Chong festival. Yeah, I remember that. Elementary school, my third grade teacher, she was a smoker. She was a lovely lady and I loved her. But yeah, she had that perfume with a nice coat of cigarette smoke.
But they couldn't smoke in the classroom, right?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No.
I was about to say that.
Mm-mm.
So overboard.
A lunchroom lady. Miss
Well,
Gwen. Miss
she-
Gwen? Yeah.
While she was standing over your tater tots,
Oh,
she was
I'll tell
smoking
you.
one.
I think she had the record for the longest ash that stayed intact on a lit cigarette. Even started like hooking over. It's like, how does that thing stay together? Rest in peace, Miss Gwen. CT in Montgomery. Gen X is the last, is that feral generation?
What generation?
Feral?
Oh.
Gen X, or is it Gen X, I guess, that or Gen Z that they're saying they're thinking about renaming it? In all seriousness, the open generation? You heard about this? Anyways, BB chiming in. In the late 70s, I watched Davey Concepcion sit in the dugout after the game for a post-game interview, smoking and drinking Stroh's beer. Good old Stroh's.
I remember Reuben Foster smoking cigarettes in the Alabama locker room.
Reuben,
That's a little different. Reuben Foster?
Really?
Oh yeah, you remember that picture of him after the Tennessee game? Everyone's smoking cigars, and he's there with his with his cigarette.
It wasn't a cigarillo, or it was a cigarette. Okay.
DJ Hall used to eat in the locker room at halftime when the coaches were talking.
I have on good accounts that, yeah, some of those players, you'd be surprised, they would leave practice and immediately they'd be puffing down.
Well, there were stories about one kicker. He would smoke there in the locker room when he was allowed to do it because he was a really good kicker. Settled him down.
Yeah, there you go.
Tommy and Trustful. Move to Trustful, Conrad, equals road rage. Pat, is that true?
We have had more road construction over the course of the
Okay.
last 6 months in Trustful than we have collectively in the 20 plus years I've lived there. It's very, very bad. They're making 59 6 lanes all the way to 459, and Highway 11 is the younger brother of 280. So yeah, it's a mess, but we welcome Conrad and Paige to buy that house they've been looking at in Trustful. Come on.
Yeah,
We have
thought
some-
about that.
Some
Really?
good supper clubs out there.
We have been, that's an area we've looked at, yeah.
You said supper club.
Mhm.
Okay.
I don't know what that means. Sounds exclusive.
It does, doesn't it?
It does.
You'll end up parking cars.
Sounds very black tie. Yeah, I know. I was like, I was thinking I was going to get
Conrad.
invited, but Pat's just excited.
New
I can
members, you just park cars for the first year. Tim texted in, my 16-year-old son saw the cigarette lighter in my old truck the other day and asked me what it was. I told him, and when he asked why they would put one in a car, I then explained that all vehicles used to have them along with ashtrays. It blew his mind.
Yeah, and
Never
I
did.
definitely burned myself on one of those multiple times as a child, just playing with it. Think that happened to a lot of people.
Cowboy texts into the show. Back to our Snake Fantasy International Flag Football Future Olympic NFL player rosters.
Yes.
Cowboy text, Jalen Hurts? Hello? Bueller?
I feel pretty confident that the quarterbacks we all selected, I would take over Jalen Hurts.
Someone texting in, Bama Todd, imagine that. Conrad's fantasy team is by far the best.
That's what I'm talking about. It's a great picture of old Jimmy Leland back in the heyday.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Posey says, I need an over-under on ACL, MCL injuries from NFL players in flag football.
I'm sure there's going to be a bet.
Tyreek Hill
Yeah.
is another text that comes in. Tyreek, that was a consideration, but we don't know about Tyreek. It's
Yeah. He had an injury problem last year. He was under consideration.
he was. Bobby says first he compliments LSU's helmet, and then 2 of the 3 players he drafted are LSU boys. Conrad is no longer Crimson Conrad. He's Cajun Conrad.
Hey, I can appreciate good talent wherever it comes from.
I had one LSU guy.
You did? Did Molly have any LSU people?
No.
No.
She went straight Colorado.
She went Colorado, Penn State, and Texas Tech. No SEC
You
representation.
know what? It's-
Why didn't she pick Raiola?
yeah.
Yeah, it's basically Patrick Mahomes, right? They're the same person.
Or DeCola just frozen chiliest. What up?
The coldest of frozen.
Jerry Barnett from Hayden. I bet Conrad will have road rage if he hasn't been to Hayden lately. We now have 3 roundabouts in a row. 2 in front of Logan's and 1 on the west side of 65. It's really fun to sit at Logan's and watch. LOL.
Yeah, somebody was explaining to me why they put 2 roundabouts in front of Logan's, which if you've been to Hayden, you know what we're talking about. But yeah, that didn't make any sense to me, Jerry. So if you can explain it, I'd appreciate that because I don't get it, and the people I keep in touch with up there are not thrilled.
Brandon texts in, have y'all checked out the Bin Laden documentary on Netflix? Yep, when it came out, watched it. It's very good.
I need to watch that.
Probably nothing that you don't already know, but to revisit, and that's from even pre-9/11, 9/11 to just where it was ultimately the SEAL team going in and eliminating the target. It was well done.
So completely different. I understand that. But if I were tonight, would you recommend I watch that or the Brett Favre documentary that came out? Because I know you saw that one.
How much time you got?
Couple hours.
Couple hours. Brett Favre is an hour and 3 minutes of runtime. So it's just one.
Is the Bin Laden multiple?
It's multiple
parts.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I started tonight then.
Okay. Both worth watching.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know.
Can y'all see about having Roll Tide Willie on the show? Conrad? You guys text a lot.
I'll
right?
have to. I'll have to go through Drewski and we'll see if we can make that happen.
Mike in Huntsville, I remember people being able to smoke in a grocery store. Yeah, I mentioned that when I was working in a grocery store. People would just walk through the line, burning them with a carton on the conveyor. He said, "Heck, I saw kids smoking in a grocery store." Yeah.
So, okay, this is a stupid question, but when cigarettes first came out, was there an age limit? Surely there was.
Pat, was there an age limit? Was it 18 for cigarettes?
Sounds right.
Okay. I just didn't know if it was like 16, like, because alcohol used to be 16, or was it 18?
It was 18 in Louisiana. I don't remember it being 18 in Alabama. I've always known it as 21.
Some states used to could drive at 15.
Really?
I think it was Mississippi. I think you could drive at 15 and get your permit at 14.
Huh. Interesting.
We will continue with your text messages and your phone calls. They continue to come in on the Courtesy GMC text line. This is Jocks 94.5. On a gorgeous SEC Baseball Thursday, this is three-man front on Jocks 94.5. Pat, Molly, Conrad, Landrum Roberts with you until 2 o'clock. We'll take you up to the Paul Feinbaum Show. But right now, Landrum, give us an update. Bottom of the sixth inning as the Auburn Tigers take on the Texas A&M Fighting Aggies.
Right now, 3-2 count to Chris Rembert. He's at the plate for the Auburn Tigers, as Pat mentioned, trailing 3-1. Skies that one up. A lot of foul ground behind the plate, but that one's going to make the seats, and a lucky fan there to collect it. Still 3 balls and 2 strikes to Rembert. No activity right now in the Auburn bullpen. Well, look at that youngster. And that'll keep him coming back for years. Look at that moment. High fives all around. All of our SEC tournament updates being brought to you by Phil Sandoval's Mexican Restaurant in Hoover. So if you're out there today, tomorrow, or anytime, you can check it out right there in Brock's Gap.
So we were talking earlier in the program about whether you could smoke on a plane. Back in the old days, you could.
We're trying to bring back smoking on planes.
And so we started talking about people smoking in grocery stores and things of that nature. And we started talking about Earl Weaver, who he had in his baseball pants a pocket sewed in, especially for his cigarettes. Jim Leland was a noted manager for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and he smoked in the dugout. Even there's some pictures of him later on when he was with the Detroit Tigers where he wasn't hiding it.
Nope.
I mean, it was just him enjoying a good old cigarette in the dugout.
I worked with a guy at the grocery store at the same time that we have 15-minute breaks. And so he would get a deli plate for lunch, but because it was only 15 minutes, he would smoke while he ate. Which, wow. What do you think he
Smoking and eating
smoked?
together
Was
sounds
that a Marlboro or was that a Camel?
You're telling me he's not a Virginia Slim kind of guy?
No.
All right.
He had the tan filter, so it was kind of narrowing it down. I'm guessing it wasn't a Newport. It could have been.
So Jimmy Leland, great manager. Fantastic. I actually had this on my phone, and I sent it to Conrad, so we're about to play it for you. This is a broadcast of Harry Carey and Steve Stone doing a Chicago Cubs Pittsburgh Pirate game on WGN TV 9 in Chicago. This is the way it sounded as they got into the discussion of Jim Leland and smoking.
It's going to be pretty emotional right now for Jim Leland as he thinks about his 11 years and that uniform.
You know, he's an incessant smoker, and he hides smoking in the dugout with the back of his hand. As he now, we'll catch him there in a moment. See, 2 balls, 2 strikes. How can you be against smoking when it produces a great manager like Jim Leland? 3 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Ground ball. Jay Bell, 2 out.
I agree with you, Harry. Kind of like, how can
great-
you be against crushing 24 Budweisers during a broadcast when it produces Harry Carey?
That is a great point. I just like these insinuating that maybe Jim Leland wouldn't have been a great manager if he didn't smoke.
Exactly.
So smoking that kept him over the top, Conrad.
Trust me, there were just horrible Chicago Cubs teams. They had a couple years there in the 80s where they actually were good. I think it was 84 when they ended up losing to the San Diego Padres in the National League Championship Series. That was a very good team. Rick Sutcliffe was their incredible starting pitcher. You had Ron Say played third base. It was a very good team. And but man, watching those Cubs games back then on the old Superstation WGN out of Chicago, whoo, Harry was the only thing that would keep you going, and the team was so bad many years that he was always into the Budweiser.
Wonder if he can do the choo-choo while he blows the smoke. Make a heart.
They probably encouraged it at that point for entertainment purposes.
But see, that was the point when I actually saw this and I captured it, and I sent it to a couple of my friends, big baseball guys, is just the fact that he was insinuating that he was a great manager because he smoked and he hit it in the dugout.
And he hit it so poorly. I mean, I get it. You can see, where the hand's covering the cigarette. But it's like, oh, where's all that smoke coming from? I have no idea.
And it's like now in Major League Baseball, they just do not want any signs of tobacco whatsoever.
Nope.
In the dugout. Zero.
Even though you still see it's not like Dan Ugla level. I think they've gotten better than that because he had a big old chaw in every game. But you still see it.
It's not Lenny Dykstra.
No.
He had a chaw and a dip in. Same time.
That's dedication right there.
That is. Text line is open. 205-834-9450. A name that always makes me chuckle. I'm glad I didn't read it on the fly. But this one reads, Dick Trickle had a cigarette lighter in his NASCAR Cup car while he was racing.
That seems dangerous. Lighting a cigarette while you're going 200 miles an hour around a track.
That would be tough.
That would be very tough.
You drop that hot rock in between your legs in the seat. Trickle's going into the wall. What happened? I got a little loose there around turn 3. Had a hot rock. This one reads, congrats to Jalen Milroe for signing his rookie deal.
Congratulations.
Joseph said, I was yelling at the radio, Molly, take Gibbs, put him in your quarterback slot.
She wanted Patrick Mahomes.
She wasn't too worried about her quarterback.
Bowen Haleville says, you guys may have already talked about it. I remember my great-grandmother being in the nursing home and people smoking everywhere. Around that oxygen, is that safe?
Say that seems like one of the worst places you could smoke a cigarette.
One of the best pictures I remember from COVID-19 was when they opened back up the casinos. I think this was in Biloxi. And there was a guy, and masks were required in the casinos. And he literally had cut a small hole out of his mask where he could continue smoking his cigarette.
Priorities.
It's just dedication. That's what it is. We need more of that in America. That built America. Fat Joe asking, heck, do y'all not remember cigarette vending machines? Of course we do.
Yeah.
Bowling alley and Waffle House. That's where you go. That's where you went first for the vending machines, right, Pat?
Yep. Sure did.
That's perfect. Waffle House and bowling alleys.
Nothing better than lighting up a heater after a covered smothered.
That's America right there.
That's America. God bless it. Hour number 4. We'll keep you updated on Auburn and A&M from Hoover. 1:00 here on Three Man Fronts. We continue to update you from the SEC baseball tournament in Hoover. All of our SEC baseball tournament updates are brought to you by Phil Sandoval's Mexican Restaurant. They're in Brock's Gap. 3-1, Texas A&M. They got the scoring started early in the game with a 3-run home run. And Auburn answering just a couple of innings ago with a solo shot of their own. 3-1, top of the 7th inning. And Texas A&M batting. We'll keep you updated there. Coming up next, it'll be round 3, the beginning of round 3, where you'll have Tennessee and Tejas and a lot of orange. And we're going to be in attendance. So if you're a Longhorn or Tennessee Vol fan, come by and say hello and give one Conrad Van Order a big hug. He loves hugs.
I know. I guess I have to pick a side in that game, don't I?
You do.
It's a tough one. I honestly might pull for Tennessee.
Really? Why?
Texas, their head's already big enough. We don't need them to.
Okay.
They won the regular season title. We don't need them winning the tournament too.
Pat, who would you pull for? Rain. That's it.
That's a good
Pat's
idea.
pulling for Storms. What about Melanie?
Probably Tennessee. Can't pull for the new guy.
She sold liquor in Tennessee.
I did.
Oh, that's right.
They,
You did.
They allowed me
you
to.
were technically a
so-
state employee.
Technically.
Mm-hmm. You getting pension?
It was a fun job.
I bet it was.
Was it more fun than this job?
No.
Okay.
Good
Good.
answer.
We're doing good.
Yep. Text line is open. 205-834-9450. And cigarettes have really taken off here on the show. I feel like this is a movement to get people smoking again.
I know we need like a PG-13 rating on our show for suggestive themes or whatever it is. Smoking and tobacco.
Says, yes, Landrum, all the teachers would spray themselves down with the most awful smelling perfume, thinking it would cover up the cigarette smell. I thought it mixed nicely with some of the scents.
Maybe you had a teacher who was menthol, so you got a little bit of a minty smell to go
The
with
cigarette
it.
smoke, that was never like that smells good. But I'll tell you what, you walk through Brookwood Mall back in the day, and there was an older gentleman sitting there, and he had some like vanilla tobacco in his pipe.
I can see that.
I
being
love
nice.
that smell. It had to be younger than 18 because I graduated in 79 and kids could smoke with a note from their parents at the smoking rail we had between the school and the football field.
Hey, Mom, can you write a smoking note for me at school? I can't even fathom that.
I went to school with some kids. This was junior high. So this was 8th grade. Middle school is what we called it. And moms would buy the kids cartons of cigarettes. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't forget about the candy cigarettes.
Candy cigarettes. That was big. The
Mhm.
ones that had a little bit of powder on the end where you went.
Because then you feel like you were actually smoking a cigarette. Even
Yeah, but it was a
good.
one-time deal. It didn't continue to do that.
Ah.
Yeah. Yeah, the candy cigarettes, which was kind of like the, Fun Dip,
Yeah.
the stick.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that consistency, that flavor. And then you had the kind that were the bubblegum cigarettes.
Interesting.
Yep. They were trying to hook you early.
I was about to say cigarette candy is.
Yeah.
Hmm.
JP says, I went in stores and bought smokes for my mom at 10 years old in the early 80s. No one ever questioned whether I was planning to smoke them or pass them to an adult.
And by then we knew they were bad.
Well, with the grocery store that I worked at, there was a big display. It was like an end cap display that had all the cigarettes in them. You didn't have to ask somebody in customer service, and they weren't behind a counter. You just go and you can grab what you wanted. Theft was a problem. Ho! Breaking news. It must be coming from Philip Morris. For more, Pat Smith at the breaking news desk, a three-man front, has this.
We have been waiting all morning long. We heard this morning that there was going to be a conference call with college football playoff executives. It has concluded, And on the call today, they unanimously adopted a move to straight seating for this year's playoff. Teams will be seated directly on the rankings 1 through 12, eliminating the concept that designated the top 4 seeds of conference champs. So repeating the news, college football playoff executives in a call today unanimously adopted a move to straight seeding starting this year's college football playoff.
Wonderful.
Love that.
Way
Love
it should
it.
have been.
No
Here for it.
complaints.
You got to work through it. First year kinks,
Mhm.
but they addressed the issue.
I'm just glad with what seemed like the obvious and somewhat simple solution, they were actually able to come to that solution. I'm impressed.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of dissension. Everybody could see it last year and go, this doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, it seemed pretty simple.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great news. Straight seating.
Yep.
Happy to see that.
That's a win.
That's good for the SEC and the Big Ten, certainly.
Yeah. And good for college football fans. And you'll have maybe some more competitive, intriguing matchups in the first round.
And that most certainly will take a little bit of drama out of the rankings, because that's what everyone was hand-wringing about the last couple weeks, was the fact is, are you really going to let, a Boise or an Arizona State have a bye over a team that is more deserving of the bye?
Remember, at
as
one
in
point,
Georgia.
Yeah, we thought Boise State might even climb up to like the 3 seed, right? Because they might be above Arizona State or SMU.
So that is a huge story. And I'm glad it came on a Thursday as opposed to a news drop Friday right before a holiday weekend, in which probably Claudia Wilkin will.
Well, maybe she sees this and she's like, you know what? I'm ready to rule. Let's do it.
They're adopting the NFL model.
She wants the 4-day weekend.
They need to spread out the news.
Yeah.
Dominate the headlines.
We'll continue with your phone calls, 800-239-WJOX. Robbie wants to chime in on cigarettes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hey, Robbie.
And first of all, I'm pulling for Tennessee, too, so I'm not a huge Texas fan, so hopefully they'll pull it out. But speaking of smelling like smoking, I enjoy a nice occasional cigar every now and then, and you mentioned the race driver that was smoking and racing, which is
Dick Trickle.
Dick Trickle, that's right. And occasionally I'll light it up on a road trip in the car, and if you crack the window, of course, to let it out, occasionally the wind will knock the ash off.
Ooh.
And it just miserable, right? So I can only imagine, because the windows probably weren't ventilated in that NASCAR.
Well, you have the netting. Yeah. You have the netting, right?
That's true. True. Yes.
But how do you navigate the helmet? Well, you couldn't do it. You couldn't do it in what they're wearing now. But I guess back in the day, you could do it because you had the
right.
Maybe you could do it now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Who knows? And of course, I remember, I think Conrad mentioned the little candy stick cigarettes. And my grandmother, she used to buy me the X-Men ones. There was X-Men candy like cigarettes. And so me and my cousins, of course, would just crush those. So amazing stuff.
It's wild that they got away with that.
I know, it's great, isn't it? The bubblegum cigars, like you said. I mean, that's
not even trying to hide it, not even subliminally trying to get you hooked on cigarettes, just over the top. That's why the Joe Camel, that was all geared towards, look at the cool little camel character.
Or or what about the smokeless tobacco? Remember the old beef jerky chopped up in the can?
Yep.
And me and my buddies, we used to put it in and stick it in our lips for like an hour.
Well, we would do it. We would do it for Little League.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome, man.
All the guys on TV do it, and they're really good at it. Must be good for you.
That's right. There we go. Y'all have a good one.
Safe smoking your stogies, Robbie, while driving.
Okay, thank you.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Let's go to Steve. He's in Tuscaloosa. Steve, you smoking right now?
Yeah, smoking 2 cigarettes at a time, and one of them is menthol.
That a guy. Is one of them put up your nose and one in your mouth?
And it got some dip, some skull dip.
That takes talent.
I used
and
to
a
do
patch.
that playing Babe Ruth baseball. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hey, that's another avenue.
Throw that patch on.
I remember we had a smoking terrace in high school, and it was a culture. It was like people would wear the heavy metal bands, the concert shirts.
You mean the black T-shirts?
Denim jacket. Yes.
It was the skaters for us. It was like the skater crowd, skateboard crowd.
And they'd be out there just smoking away. So it was pretty neat to see. And do you remember this? You talked about the vending machine where you could go up and no warnings, put a couple of coinage in there. Didn't cost more than $1.
Yep.
Get you pull that handle and get them cigarette packs out.
Yep, no doubt.
And then
the drawback I'm told to the vending machine cigarettes weren't they all soft packs?
Yes.
Yeah.
No hard packs.
No hard packs.
And then you have them in like garages too. I remember, you get your car fixed and they always had one in there.
Yeah, you remember the old, and they still have them, Steve, but the old vending machines, the Coke, the soda. I don't know why we just say Coke here in the South, but there's Pepsi as well. But you would have it, and they would be exposed. You'd open up the little door, and it would release the little catch on it when you put your money in.
I was 2 seconds of bringing that up, and you brought it up. I was just mentioning the bubblegum machine. You had the cigarette vending machine, the bubblegum machine, and that ice-cold Pepsi or Coke with that side window. And you put like 25 cents exactly.
Yep.
And that was always had like the coldest Cokes, and they would usually be like this cart that this little wood cart, after you finish your bottle, you could put your empty bottle there to recycle.
That's right.
And it was always fascinating. It was always 5 cents recyclable in Michigan. What's going on in Michigan? How much was Michigan? Remember?
I do remember that. Michigan would always give you money back. Nobody else would.
Yeah, like 10 cents. Why is it 10 cents in Michigan? Everyone else is like a nickel. So it was good. So, and then Pat, thanks for playing the WGN.
Yeah, it was old school, wasn't it?
Baseball. That was awesome. When the Braves weren't on, I'd watch Cubs baseball, and
same.
It was fun to see when the Braves and the Cubs would play, because one of them would end up coming over, like Skip would come over to talk to his dad. And I always thought that was neat to see, and I would flip between broadcasts. And it's always TBS had that nice slick broadcast, but WGN was a little more intimate, and they would have, and if you pay it, closer to the crowd, and if you could pay attention, if you could read lips, you could see what people are talking about.
Yes,
but
you're right. Tighter camera shots, a little grainier, but more of a hometown feel as opposed to a big network feel. Yeah.
And the Braves are playing in them powder blue uniforms, and the Cubs. They remember that patch they'd have. I always like, what is that on their sleeve? It was a Cub.
Mm-hmm.
You remember? You know what I'm saying?
Yep. You'd have the Cub and the WGN Cubs games. You would have more people that would drop by the booth. Like you would have the cast from the Bozo Show that would just show up. They'd be promoting some of their promoting their other programming.
It was a good show.
It was a good show.
It was
grand prize game.
It was such an intimate broadcast.
It was. Yep. I'd stay at my grandparents, and I'd go fishing in the morning and do whatever my grandmother needed me to do, and then come in. She'd have lunch ready, and then I'd get in my grandfather's leather chair, and it was ice cold because she'd have that AC on, and I'd turn that big TV unit that weighed 800 pounds on and watch the Cubs until I fell asleep. It was great. Great memory.
Those are the good old days. Days I don't think we could ever get back.
No, unfortunately.
Anyway, great show, gentlemen, ladies. And ask them if they remember, Conrad and Molly, if they ever remember Wrigley Field without the lights. Think about that one.
Oh, yeah. I bet they don't. Steve, and by the way, thank you for the gifts that you brought us the other day.
Welcome.
Those were awesome. Bobblehead looks great. He joined his teammates in the sports room.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right. Y'all take care. Have a good day.
You too. Chop on. Steve from Tuscaloosa.
Well, let me tell you one more time about our friends at Diamonds Direct, because whether you have a graduate in your life or you're thinking about popping the question, they are sure to have something for you, whatever your style or preference. They have you covered. And if not, no worries. Their experts can help you with a custom design. I actually went in yesterday, and diamond expert Sasha, she was able to help me find the perfect piece that fit my style and, most importantly, my budget. So go by and check out the beautiful showroom at Diamonds Direct.
They're in the bottom of the seventh inning at the Hoover Met, and Auburn is trailing 3-1 to Texas A&M. And our coverage, Landrum, each and every day on this broadcast is brought to us by our good friends out there in Hoover.
Phil Sandoval's Mexican restaurant, to be exact, Pat. Brock's Gap. If you're out there today, all weekend, or anytime, get by Phil Sandoval's Mexican Restaurante.
When we come back, we'll update you on the breaking news story in the college football playoff world. We have a decision. It was unanimous. We'll tell you all about it next. The big breaking news at this hour going on in the world of sports is college football playoff. Executives today that comprise the 10 FBS commissioners and the Notre Dame athletics director, Pete Bavacqua, they were on a call today and they unanimously adopted a move to a straight seeding format as early as this fall for this year's college football playoff. Teams will be seated directly on the rankings 1 through 12, eliminating the concept that designated the top 4 seeds for conference champions. Now, if Notre Dame finishes in the top 4, they will be eligible for a bye. In the previous system, they were not eligible for a bye. They are now if they finish in the top 4. So another reason why you've got the 10 conference commissioners and the athletics director for Notre Dame. So once again, Notre Dame gets the benefit of the doubt. We all anticipate next year with the SEC and the Big Ten taking over complete control, basically, of the college football playoff, that this thing is going to expand it from 12 teams to 14 or possibly 16 teams. So if you looked at last year's seeding, you look at the rankings, this is the way it would be based on the new policy that they have enacted this morning. The biggest difference would be Texas and Penn State. Texas and Penn State would have received first-round byes. Boise State would drop from number 3 to number 9. Arizona State would fall from number 4 to number 11. So that's what would have taken place last year if this policy would have been in place. So big story, straight seeding now moving forward.
So Penn State, instead of getting SMU, they would have gotten, well, and then Texas would have gotten someone other than Clemson. Or maybe they could have gotten.
They would have gotten the winner of Arizona State and Ohio State, I believe.
That is correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Indiana would have played Boise, and the winner of that would have gotten Oregon. And then Penn State would have gotten a bye, and they would have played the winner of Notre Dame and Clemson. That game would have been in South Bend.
All right, so we got that ironed out. Now we're waiting on house settlement, and what are the other housekeeping items we got to tidy up?
Well, next week, the major topic of discussion will be if there is not a decision yet on the house settlement, then basically you could have an agreement behind closed doors to the SEC to go to 9 games. But they would not make that official unless the house settlement gets settled and announced. So let's say tomorrow the house settlement comes in, it's done. Then I think the SEC and the coaches, the athletics director, they would have a little bit more room next week to consummate some type of deal in regards to a future schedule. If not, they will have to agree upon something and then have to come back to it at a later time. So that's the other big piece, because if the SEC goes to 9, then they can get with the Big Ten and they can work out a schedule agreement moving forward between those 2 conferences.
We're going to keep the tiebreaker the same in the SEC.
You mean all 7 of them?
Well, as long as it took to put together. Last year, I was hoping that we didn't have to revisit that.
I think that's going to stick around.
A lot of stuff on the stove.
Yeah, well, let's stick with the tiebreaker for a year or 2. We'll deal with that later.
I'm with you.
But this is a good first step. This should have happened a year ago.
Commission on hold, though. Presidential commission on hold.
Yes.
Right now. Waiting to see what Cruz and who is it?
Cory Booker.
Cory Booker.
The Democrat from New Jersey? Or Connecticut?
Couldn't tell you where Cory Booker's from.
Where's Booker from? New Jersey.
There you go. You were right.
New Jersey. I'll be darned. They care about college athletics there?
Well, they just hired the president of Louisiana State University at Rutgers, the University of New Jersey.
I think that was his wife, Cash Tate, vocalist.
Well, the Protestant music scene is really blossoming in Jersey Shore right now.
A lot of recording studios up there, Conrad.
That's what I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they thought about Muscle Shoals, but then they got the offer to go to Rutgers, and that's just how it goes.
Well, Prize Picks, great transition there. This is the best place to turn your sports knowledge into cash. Millions of members. Prize Picks make daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash. You can run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Of course, we got basketball playoffs going on right now, so you can add your favorite players from the court to your Prize Picks lineup. Or if you want to go baseball, that's where I'm going today. Download the Prize Picks app, fill out all your information, promo code WJOX. Download the app, promo code WJOX. In that order, when you do that, your first $5 play on one of those projections, if you win or lose, well, it doesn't matter if you lose. They're going to kick $50 instantly back to your Prize Picks account. That's incentivizing you to try it today. And it's a whole lot of fun. Today, I am going baseball. I'm going pitching matchups. You got demons, you got goblins. The goblins, those are easier to hit, but the payout is lower with the escalators or multipliers. AJ Smith-Shawver, that was one that Conrad and I agreed on yesterday. He is on the bump today after getting rained out yesterday. Taking on the Nationals, 5:45. You can hear the game on, is it 100.5 this afternoon, I believe? You can hear the game on our Jocks network of stations. AJ Smith-Shawver, 3.5 strikeouts. I'm going to go more on that. And for Molly's Detroit Tigers, as they take on the Cleveland former Indians, now Guardians, Jack Flaherty, 3.5 strikeouts. We're going more there. She gives the thumbs up. Okay. Both of those players hit. I'm a winner. You can be a winner too. Prize Picks. Run your game all season long with our friends at Prize Picks. Right now, little something brewing for Texas A&M. Auburn has had to bring in their third pitcher of the game. Top of the 8th inning, 1 out. Texas A&M leading 3-1. Runners at first and second, and a 1-2 count to the, I don't know who it is at the plate, but it is a fighting Texas Aggie. And they are trying to keep their postseason hopes alive right now. Not slated in the latest college baseball regional projections, but if they can run it all the way through Sunday this weekend and win the whole thing, they get the automatic bid, as we all collectively learned yesterday. It actually works for college baseball too.
I feel like Buzz Williams is really proud right now. Well, maybe not because he's not associated with Texas A&M anymore, but this was like his special thing, right? In the SEC basketball tournament where they'd make it to the final day, they'd go on this run and find themselves getting into the tournament or right there on the cusp.
Right there on the cusp.
Of getting the last spot, and it looks like the baseball team's taking notes.
Unfortunately for Texas A&M, you have an injury. It looks like just hopefully just a bad bone bruise, but a player was hit in the hand, and we could be looking at a fracture, hairline fracture. I guess he's going to get that thing MRI'd, but it looks like they got the cast on that thing already.
Ugh.
Never good when you get hit by a pitch.
Top part of the hand.
In your hand. There's so many bones in your hand.
That ever happened to y'all?
No, I had a foul ball that just freak thing hit my forearm and had a hairline fracture there. I played.
I broke a finger doing
getting
hit by a pitch.
It was All-Stars. It meant more.
That's right. You're toughing it out.
Well, I don't think we had another catcher.
Now, you're heading to Las Vegas, or did you change your plans?
No, we changed it.
You changed your plans?
No, not going to Vegas.
Well, man, I had something for you to do.
Yeah, no. Too much sin.
I was lining up some...
Don't want that. Oh, we're going to go a little something more wholesome.
Well,
Amish country.
I had something a little bit wholesome for you to do in Las Vegas.
What is that?
Have you heard of the Hall of Excellence?
Now
that could mean so many things.
This sounds right up your alley, Landrum.
Well, thank you.
This is not in Provincetown. This is not in Provincetown.
Well, no.
That is definitely not up my alley.
This is family friendly, I'm sure.
The Hall of Excellence, a museum showcasing iconic sports and entertainment memorabilia, will open at the Fontainebleau, Las Vegas on June the 20th. The museum was created through a partnership by Tom Brady, sportscaster Jim Gray, and his wife, Fran Vetter Gray. The museum will feature a collection of artifacts from legendary athletes and entertainers. Highlights include Michael Jordan's first Air Jordans, Jackie Robinson's color barrier breaking bat, all 7 of Tom Brady's Super Bowl rings, Muhammad Ali's fight-worn gloves, and treasured items from icons like Kobe Bryant, Tiger Woods, and Billie Jean King.
Will there be a half-open pack of Jim Leland cigarettes?
I was thinking this because it would fit Vegas. Agree with me or disagree, but it would fit Vegas to have a not so great moments in sports museum where you have the Tanya Harding club that took out Nancy Kerrigan's shins. You would have the
Myles Garrett's helmet
syringe that they found in Canadian sprinter and former gold medalist that was stripped away Ben Johnson when he tested positive for anabolic steroids. It would have been the
Aaron Hernandez's jersey.
Yes, Aaron Hernandez's jersey. The hot the hot white pants from Urban Meyer's Pine House. Just to name a few. You know what? That's not a bad. If you could get a hold of that memorabilia.
I was about to say that'd be the question: is how do you get a hold of that stuff?
Entertainment. You got the Janet Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
The centerpiece trophy room displays prestigious awards, including the Vince Lombardi Trophy, Heisman Trophy, the Claret Jug, and various championship trophies from major sports leagues. The museum is a self-guided experience narrated by Morgan Freeman.
Oh,
Ooh.
if you thought it couldn't get better, just throw Morgan Freeman in there.
Your attention.
So is this what they did with Reggie Bush's Heisman? They just took it to this museum?
Oh, he's got it back now.
Is it the real one? Could you be certain? Maybe it's a fake one.
So I had no idea that. I know Tom Brady is obviously invested in the city of Las Vegas because he is still part owner of the basketball, right? The women's basketball team.
Yep.
And he's a limited partner of the Las Vegas Raiders football team. And now him and Jim Gray opening up a museum. I know him and Jim Gray were tight, but man.
You know what? That would be something that if we were still going to Vegas, that's what we would have. Yeah. We would have definitely gone there.
A self-guided experience narrated by Morgan Freeman. Pretty cool.
Sign me up.
That's really cool.
That'd be awesome.
We'll give you the update. The very latest is Auburn late innings against Texas A&M. That's next. 3-Man Front. 134 Jocks 94.5. If you happen to find yourself at the Hoover Met this afternoon, watching UT squared, that would be Texas versus Tennessee.
I thought
Conrad looked at me.
No, I think we all understood.
I thought Conrad was about to get sick again.
Hmm.
How you feeling? I'm looking at you, Landrum.
Yeah, and he's staring at me. He seems fine. He seems
better
like
not happen.
You're gonna be fine.
You know, the suit's out of town, so I'm supposedly tomorrow. I'm gonna get a text. Landrum's under the weather. Can't work. Was up all night sick.
He even admitted
I won't do
earlier.
that. I did a show from home with COVID. I'll be fine.
Well,
I don't know if you were supposed to admit that.
never mind.
I did it from home.
Did double down on it.
I did it from home. I don't care who knows.
But you also admitted earlier today that if you think you're going to get sick, or there's even the possibility, like mentally, you will convince yourself that you're going to get sick
Yes.
and make yourself sick.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm my hands are clean.
Was it? So this is HIPAA. If you don't want to answer, but it was North and South Pole, right?
Sadly.
I will kill you if that happens.
Wow. Mark that tape.
Yeah, mark it. No, I'll admit it. I'll be standing over his dead body when they come to pick me up. It's awful.
Dang.
Come in here and taint this place. This is like the safe place.
I'm normally the one that gets in trouble for what I say. So I'm glad it's going to be Landrum today after the show.
Yeah, it won't be you.
I don't care. It's my health. I'm powered through it. 'Cause I was born in the 70s when we smoked cigarettes while we had COVID. Bottom of the 8th inning as they play in Hoover. Auburn's got a little something working as they trail 3-1. Runners on first and second and one out.
This is a big moment for the Irishman.
Ooh, Ike Irish. He could change things with one swing of the bat. Ike Irish he's legit. In case nobody's been following college baseball.
No, he will be a first-round pick this year. Yeah. Very good. Special
He's
player.
solid. You got players on top of dugout. No rally caps yet, but a lot of enthusiasm coming from the Auburn side. It looks like Texas A&M has made the whatever, insert your sponsor, call to the bullpen. So we appreciate our friends at Phil Sandoval's Mexican Restaurant there in Hoover for bringing you all of our SEC tournament updates. A lot of texts coming in, Conrad, on the text line, 205-834-9450. Johnny said we had a smoking section in high school in the late 80s. Ron Santos played third for the Cubs. These are just no context, just random, if you haven't been following the show. Brandon says, Pat wants a baseball-only show so bad. Just wait. Dog days of summer are almost here.
I would love it.
We will go foul pole to foul pole for one show.
Bring back triple play. Remember triple play here on Jocks?
Yeah, Ben Cook, Hurricane Shane. Others. Some of the great Harry Carey sayings, but I think this is more from the SNL Will Ferrell. If you're a hot dog and you were starving, would you eat yourself?
Those are the kinds of questions that we really need to be thinking about.
Yeah. Alan says, I can remember the deacon smoking outside the church before service started. Tim says, Charlie Hull is a British LPGA golfer. She was busted smoking on the golf course during a tournament. John Daly never hit it.
No, he did not.
Joseph said, just to clarify, I was referring to Conrad skipping Jahmyr Gibbs with his first pick, so I knew that who he wanted, so Molly should have snipped him. Sorry for the short, confusing text, Joseph. It's fine. We're good.
See, but I knew Molly, she took Saquon with her first pick, so I knew I could wait on the running back, and there Jahmyr Gibbs was waiting for me.
Roddy had a smoking area at his high school. This one rolls in out of South Carolina. 1975, Bristol, Oklahoma. You could buy cigarettes at Sonic. No ID required. I didn't smoke, but my girlfriend did, and we could order food and get cigarettes as well.
And they bring them to you on rollerblades, so it's even better, right?
Yeah.
It's even more fun.
My favorite teacher would be on edge because of her lunch smoke break came after remedial English class full of all the worst class clowns and 17-year-old 10th graders. BA, thank you. Hey, guys, my local gas station here in good old Blount County still sells candy cigarettes. You know what? I actually saw some the other day in a store, and I can't remember where
Really?
I was. Yeah. Sure did.
See, I've always wondered, and I don't know, maybe someone else there can answer this, but in movies, right now, obviously, if you're somebody that smokes, I'm sure you smoke a real cigarette, but in a movie, are those like candy cigarettes? Are they
Herbal.
They're what?
Herbal.
Ah, okay. So they're really smoking something. It's just not
It's herbal.
tobacco.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Well,
that's correct.
Thank you for answering my question. I just always wondered that.
Because I've even read where when there's a lot of scenes that have to be reshot and it has someone smoking, that they even get sick of smoking.
The herbal.
Just
whatever.
the herbal. Just the fact that they have to do so much of it.
Interesting.
Sports Hall of Shame Museum. That's getting some traction. Max says Aaron Hernandez's pistol. Okay.
I think that's probably in police evidence.
Well, I mean, a donation.
So how much to part ways with the pistol?
We're talking Vegas money here, man. Money talks. Get that thing.
Just auction it off.
Hueytown High School had a smoking pit, at least through the early 80s. Thank you very much. I remember when doctors would put their cigarettes on top of the door frame before coming into the room. Mark in Tuscaloosa. Wow.
Oh, the irony is so rich.
My high school had like 3 courtyards because I think my high school was built in the 70s and they were smoking courtyards, but obviously we weren't allowed to do that.
This one rolls in. Something to think about for me. This listener says, I sell candy cigarettes. If I hook you up with a case, can I get a free membership to Landrum's website?
That's a great deal.
That is
Make
a
that happen.
great deal. You haven't been uploading as much lately.
Canklesneedlove.com. Appreciate all the texts. We're going to keep reading them, conversing amongst ourselves. First and third,
What
2
just happened,
outs.
Pat? We missed it. What happened?
No, there might be 3 outs now. And now Butch Thompson is out on the field, and he is not a happy Butch Thompson.
The only thing I can think of is they called runner interference into second base when he slid in. And so they went ahead and gave them the automatic double play. Because he beat it out.
Yeah, that's if they called that interference, he slid to the bag.
Yeah, that's a crap call.
That's horrible.
That's a crap call. Pivotal moment of the game, too.
Yeah, because Auburn would have had runners at first and third with 2 outs, and instead the inning is over.
Yep. And you got McMurray at the plate.
I mean, he wasn't trying to spike him. He wasn't trying. Are you kidding me? Oh, it's because he slid beside the bag.
Yeah, because he couldn't reach the bag, and not to mention the fact his right leg came up. And so where the umpire was situated behind, he's going to say that it looks like he was trying to impede him from making the throw to first.
I don't like that call.
Bad call. You missed that one. No more games for you. All right, we continue. 3-man front and Jocks, 94.5.
Well, it will be a much debated call from the SEC baseball tournament, one that you will see many, many times over and over again. Back in the old days, we've been talking a lot about the old days. That would not have been a call at all. Matter of fact, the Auburn base runner could have brought his spikes up to the shortstop's chest and it wouldn't have mattered. But not now.
And the umpire would have been smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
He didn't make the call.
Yeah. So Auburn's rally is foiled as Texas A&M holds on to a 3-1 lead. Top of the ninth inning, the Aggies are batting. Nobody on, 1 out.
Are you buying snacks for everyone today?
I'm not buying anything.
All right.
That's why I have a media credential that I'll go and get free drinks and food.
Oh, they have that?
Absolutely.
Oh, good. Wonderful. I will put back into our local economy.
But it's
hardworking volunteer concession workers. Now I want a souvenir cup.
Okay.
I want a souvenir
Maybe
cup.
they include that. They give you a lot of free meals, so maybe you can swap like 2 free meals for souvenir cup. I don't know.
Maybe so.
Maybe they'll barter with you.
Yeah. Who knows?
Earlier today, it was decided that the college football playoff moving forward, it will be straight seeding. If you're one of the top 4 teams, you will get a first-round bye, but no more of this business of the Arizona States of the world playing in a half-baked conference, getting an automatic bye, and then other teams like Georgia having to play an extra game. So that being said, starting this year, this fall, 2025, it will be straight seeding in the college football playoff. Now we just need it expanded to 14 to 16 teams, and I think we'll be in pretty good shape for a while.
Yep. And we just
get the automatic qualifiers for the SEC, and we're really in business.
Yeah, we can now just debate the teams that they left out when we get to that point. How many teams from the SEC got screwed this year? That'll be the talking points. Mark it down.
That very well will be. 2 outs now in the top of the ninth inning as Auburn will get one more opportunity to come to the plate. This is a single elimination tournament, just like Alabama. Alabama beat Mizzou, but then they lost yesterday. Alabama was eliminated. So if Auburn loses this, they will go home and they will get ready for the announcement this weekend. All indications, Auburn will host. So yes, you'd like Auburn to continue to win and play, but it is not necessary for their ability to host moving forward.
I like the single elimination format. I really do.
I bet you the coaches do, unless you're a team like in Oklahoma that's already played 2 games and you're sitting there looking around about your pitching staff, for the rest of the week.
Well, not even being ugly, but I mean, if you're Missouri, right, you're probably like, thank God we're done.
Let's
been a rough year.
End this madness.
Yep, let's go home, move on to next year.
Yeah. But the matchups that we get and win or go home, not that it's going to affect Tennessee or Texas, but having that particular matchup on a neutral field, I love it. And then Tennessee saving their ace. I'm guessing Doyle is pitching today, right?
That's what I saw.
Yeah.
That's the expectation.
So you were telling me about the RPI. What was the latest RPI ranking for Alabama?
The latest RPI, what I have is Alabama is 9th.
Okay, how about Ole Miss?
Ole Miss is 19.
19. Okay. I was looking at some numbers earlier. The last 64 out of 65 SEC teams that hosted with an RPI less than 20, and they had 18 wins in the SEC, 98% of hosting.
I'm just looking, who would that affect? It's just interesting that conference record here in RPI, any tournament wins, they're not reflected.
They're not counted.
It's just regular season. No. So right now, Alabama 41-15 overall, 16-14. And these are updated weekly, so this is the latest that's out there, but I don't. Has the committee already kind of made their mind? Is this like basketball? Is this a foregone conclusion?
Just playing out the string.
Yeah, playing out the string. Other notables, I'm trying to see. Now, Clemson is 10 in the RPI. Alabama is 9, and that was one of the potential regionals Alabama having to travel, if that is the case. I'm scrolling down. I am not seeing Virginia anywhere. Is that why their coach wants to leave?
Well, we're not seeing the academic rating. That's really boosting up their stock.
APR?
Yeah, APR. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's always.
I don't know.
What's going on there? We got a barbecue going on downstairs?
I don't know.
It sounds like a great time.
You have smoke coming up there?
No, it's the back window. People listening, not watching on YouTube, it's our back window here in the studio. We've seen wildlife. It's really been where we observe wildlife. Like
is the platypus back?
Molly claims she saw a
bobcat,
a mountain lion one day. Yeah, we saw kind of a hearse. We see a hearse that's just random hearse that parks out there. We don't know if there's actually a body in the back. No kidding. There's a hearse that just parks, and it's just, if you're not ready for it, it's an eerie sight.
It's quite morbid.
It is. But no, there's just a really loud conversation going on right now. Wow.
Maybe it's some of our parking lot walkers.
No.
Because we have a lot of those.
No, these guys have not been walking in quite some time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Texas A&M trying to get an insurance run. They have a runner at second base, 2 outs.
Just brutally honest Thursday. Sorry.
No, there's nothing wrong with that.
I thought that was the theme of the show.
You've done great today.
Okay, well, thanks.
Auburn has gotten out of it, so now they will come to bat in the bottom of the 9th inning with an opportunity.
No,
I just said it. They got out of it. This is way behind.
I like the way behind. Don't ruin the suspense.
That was like 3 different accents in one sentence there. I don't know what that was.
McMurray's Steel and Snow coming up.
It's been a very well-pitched game. A grand total of 9 hits as opposed to the 30 we got between Alabama and Tennessee.
That's how we like to do it, Pat.
Those are the games. Oh, umpires are like, ooh, really?
A&M, they have left 7 runners on base. Auburn 5. Auburn's out hit Texas A&M 5-4. So they'll get one more opportunity here. And it's the middle of the order for Auburn. 4, 5, and 6.
I'll say this will set up nicely, too. Hit a walk-off here, and by the time that they get the field ready, we'll be there.
Yep.
Just in time.
So McMurray, Still, and Snow due up for Auburn here in the bottom of the 9th inning. They collectively today, they are 2 for 8.
Okay.
Final cigarette text. At age 8, I was sent into the store to buy cigarettes for my folks.
I guess nobody batted an eye back then.
That's back when kids did what their parents told them.
My mom told me she used to buy them for her mom when she was 9.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we used to bet with in prison. That's going to do it for us. We appreciate all of you. Thanks for all of our guests. All of it found at JocksFM.com, the 3-Man Front podcast. We're headed to Hoover. Hope to see you there because it just means more. Have a great rest of your Thursday. Paul Feinbaum Show. It comes your way next here on Jocks 94.5.